Welcome to Camp Radpack. You can enjoy your stay in our luxury cabins. Meet all the new campers and counselors. Start every morning with an exercise routine to get that rad body you're looking for. During the day, we have archery, baseball, and go hiking in our forest. After that, enjoy our wonderful beaches. Lifeguards are always on duty. And when it comes to our lake, it's always time to get wet and wild. And who doesn't love beach volleyball? After that, enjoy our dining hall. Meet up with your friends and enjoy our wonderful meal, such as pizza and the stuff. After dinner every night, feel free to come down to our fire pits, where we tell ghost stories and roast marshmallows. This is a perfect place to end the day. A lot of events we have is things like the talent show, which we put on every year at the end of summer. So what are you waiting for? Come to Camp Radpack, where you may find friends for life and even possibly love. Camp Radpack, where you come to get rad, get weird, and get killer.
Hey guys, it's your friend Felissa Rose, Angela from Sleepaway Camp, and welcome to Camp Radpack. Mwah!
Oh, baby. We are back, baby. We are back at Camp Radpack. Year 3. How we all doing tonight?
I am excited.
Dude,
what's up, guys?
Welcome to camp, everybody.
This is
Are
how
we ready? Have we
finish
packed
the
our
summer
lunches?
off.
Did you bring your vapes?
Is that an
Justin
inhaler or what is
did.
that? Is that an inhaler?
It's yeah, I got asthma last summer actually.
Oh.
Remember, I got stuck on bunk duty every year.
Yes.
The air in here is terrible, so I do have an inhaler. That's for the bronchitis.
Yeah, man, it
For the
makes sense.
bronchitis.
It's 80s. I mean,
Self-inflicted.
yeah, the inhaler's kind of 80s, isn't it? A little bit.
Yeah, sure.
Kind of a little 80s. Yeah. it's
Jonathan
cool.
Brandis had one.
So did Mikey from Goonies.
That's right. That's right.
See? But yeah, guys, welcome back to Camp Radpack. Again, year 3, and it's one of our flagship shows here on the Radpack podcast. And we usually use this to kind of finish off the summer. And I can't believe that the summer is basically coming to a close. It's wild. And I know we all just kind of made it up here tonight. Like we just got here. Me and Mel are already outside. We're set up. And Mr. Justin, I know he's been here for a couple hours. And what are you doing? Cleaning bunks? Where is everybody?
Yeah, they caught me with some contraband coming off the bus.
Oh my goodness.
Tonight I'm stuck on bunk duty, but I'll be able to come hang out with you guys tomorrow. We can roast marshmallows and tell some ghost stories, maybe talk about Zeke the Plumber or some stuff like that.
Well, speaking of that, you know how we run in Camp Radpack. We want to make sure that that we kind of keep to the theme. And year 3, we kind of talk about different camping or summer-related movies or anything like that or shows. Well, this one is about something that was big for at least some of us in our childhoods, and that's a show from 1991 called Salute Your Shorts. And it was one of those shows that I watched like every day growing up as a kid. I think I was probably like 9 when that came out, but it was such a fun show, and we went back and rewatched it. And I just think it's still, to me at least, it really still works. Like it's very. I don't want to say basic, but it's so fun, and it's not so like, I don't know how to explain it. It was just it just worked really well for like minimal things that really happened, right? Do you know what I'm saying, Justin?
I agree, and I think on kids shows they did this a lot. Well, in movies they oftentimes cast like older kids. Salute Your Shorts was like straight up kids my age when I was watching it. Maybe a couple years older, but I felt like I was watching kids my age. I never went to summer camp. I don't know if anybody else did. I never did like a sleepaway camp or anything. I always wanted to.
Not a sleepaway camp. I did like a day camp. I don't know
Yeah.
what Mel was doing over there. Were you going overnight camping over there where you are, or it was everyday camping over there?
When I was a kid.
Yeah. No, yesterday.
Yeah, last summer.
I still go camping.
yeah.
No, we did some overnight camping when I was a kid.
But at like a camp, like a summer camp with bunks and every kid's show up in a bus and all that stuff.
Yeah, I did go to a camp twice. It was like a week long. It was overnight. It wasn't my jam.
You weren't
like
feeling
it.
Like
Were you homesick? I think I might be homesick if I was a kid.
I'm not like an outdoorsy kind of person, if that makes sense. So it
Yeah.
wasn't really my thing.
Yeah, I
wasn't your
feel
thing.
you.
But I know Justin and I were huge fans of this growing up. And Mel said you didn't catch this show. Was it because did you not have Nickelodeon? Did you like? I'm just curious because I mean you are a little bit, a couple of years behind Justin and I, so I don't know if it was just something you just missed.
Yeah, so no, I didn't have Nickelodeon, so I didn't catch this one, but I did watch it now. It does still work as like a kid's show. I think it has a basic premise. It does have young kids. It has a fun storyline. Every episode is different. It has some fun comedic moments, and all the characters are hilarious. So I think it does still work.
Did you guys both
sure.
get the like bootleg DVD? Because you can't find the show
Yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah.
I got the Slime Tyrion collection set.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
so
wouldn't.
did
I goofed and I couldn't get the DVDs, but I did find like there's archives you can find online. A lot of them are VHS rips and stuff. But I was able to watch several episodes, and I watched it growing up so much. I watched that so much.
Back, watch it. We'll talk about that. But first, what I want to do is I want to just get to the chat really quick because I don't want to get too behind on it. So I'm just using the house really quick. Alfred, what's up? Says first comment. Woo! What's up, man? Thank you for being here. A show that never really have tried. The show that never should have never tried to move the cast or another show I need on 4K besides my favorite. So yeah,
that's something I wanted to ask Michael about. I have some questions about like from pilot to air that he can.
Thank you, spoiler police. Jackass.
You me?
Yeah.
Why? I'm responding to a comment that's on the screen.
Friday. Oh yeah. All right. Why is this show impossible to find? I had bootleg years ago. Can never find. We're gonna hopefully get the answer to that too. What's up, Eli? How are you? Sydney Jenkins in the house. What's going on? I never seen one second of the show, but I won't miss a Rad Pack episode. Well, you're gonna learn about it tonight. Let me see as we go.
Anybody who
through
follows me on Instagram, I guess I already spoiled something that was supposed to be a secret. So
yeah, he legit put a reel out on Instagram.
Yeah, I didn't know it was. I didn't know it was a
dude.
secret.
Listen, half the people that are in this chat right now, you've blocked anyways on Instagram, so they didn't.
No.
Yeah,
only the meanies.
100%. So
Only the people that are mean to me.
Nobody saw it. Get it, Rad, or pay the price. I like that. That's a shirt right there, baby.
That's a shirt.
My Friday the 13th 09 arrived. Wow, looks very good. I ordered it, haven't got it yet, but that's another camp movie right there.
450 people saw it, by the way.
Nice.
Not two.
Awful waffle. Hell yeah. What up,
Well, that's
Justin?
because you collaborated it with me, Justin.
Oh, I did use your clout. I use your Instagram clout. You're right.
All right, well, we're going to segue a minute. B Maga says, hey, everyone, is Donkey Lips from You Salute Your Shorts joining? Well, here's the thing, guys. We're at Camp Radpack, and you never know what's going to happen at Camp Radpack. We had a concert last year to finish off the weekend. There's a lot going on right now. Me and Mel are out, but running around camp today, I was shocked. I was like, what are you doing here, man? And, I just, people are running crazy out there. And Wet Movie says, Mikey is one of the nicest guys I know. Well, speaking of Mike, speaking of Donkey Lips, we found him hanging around Camp Radpack.
No idea.
And we want to bring him in because we want to talk to him about this show, because who better to talk to us about Salute Your Shorts than someone who was there, someone who experienced Camp Anawana, and that is Michael Ray Bauer. Mike, what is going on, man? Welcome to the show.
Budnick, Budnick, stop selling contraband. It's actually illegal. It's called fentanyl. It's ruining the country. Budnick, stop it. Dina, I will give you a second baby. Give me a second. I'm doing a podcast. The Rad Pack podcast. They're talking about Camp Anawana. So I got to do this to make a few dollars to give you fertilization, whatever you need to have my second donkey lips baby, Dina. Come on. Zizi.
Look at this. We're saying
tomorrow.
epic already.
Plant the tree tomorrow, Zizi. The oxygen is okay for now. The oxygen's okay for now.
We are live right now on location.
Yes.
Justin and Mike are in the bunks. Me and Mel are outside.
And Budnick and Dina and Sponge and everybody.
I love it.
Oh
My God. Look at this. People are going nuts. My boy in the house says Brendan Wet Movie 1. Eli says, let's go Donkey Lips. People are laughing. Dynamite Tiger says, love it. This just made my year. That is what we like to do here, guys. We don't mess around on these shows. This isn't half-assed stuff we got going on here. This is the real deal. Can he sing the theme song? We will get to that, I'm sure, at some point tonight. I think we will get that. But with
that's
all that
$50 on Cameo.
That's right.
That's $50 on Cameo for the theme song.
That is so funny. Now, dude, look at him. He's sporting the Camp Rad Pack shirt. Everybody gets a shirt when they come to camp, so this is awesome. It's great that Michael is here to talk about Salute Your Shorts. And, man, like, to start it off, the theme song really quick. You know, every kid that watched the show in the 90s, that theme song has been glued in their head for their whole life. Like, it's in my head. I remember everything about it. So with that being said, when I rewatched this for the first time, the other day, I had my son there who's 5, and I said, you know what? I'm going to let him watch it with me because it'll kill two birds with one stone here. And when that theme song hit, I recorded him because I'm curious to see like what his reaction is for the first time. And he's watching it, and I'll have to post this video maybe, but as soon as it said it makes me want to fart, he literally rolled on the ground, dying laughing. And I sent it to these guys to show him, and he's like, play it again. Like, dude, it still works. It still works.
I just still
that fart line still works, and it's so funny to see somebody.
That means Daddy farts.
No, he does. That's what.
No, but you had to tell him what it was. So he learned it by watching you.
That's right.
100%. Now, dude, how old were you when that show aired? It's hard to tell what everybody's ages were at the time. Like, were you?
You never ask a lady their age.
You don't want anybody to know your age.
I had breasts, okay? You never ask a lady their age.
But like Justin said, everybody did seem like they were the right age to be there at that.
Yeah, camp. I was like 17. I think I turned 18 towards the end of the show. I don't even. I have to add it up. Shouldn't I? 85, 15. Yeah, I was like 16, 17. I think I was just turning 17 when we started, and then I turned 18. So
that's wild. I thought you were younger on the show.
No, I was one of the older ones. Me and Danny Cooksey were typically the older. He might have been a year younger than I am, but yeah, we were the oldest ones. I think the other ones were probably 13, 14, 12, whatever the case may be.
So you were like the elders at camp, like with all the younger kids and stuff?
Elders. Is that a video game?
Elder Scroll?
Elder Ring.
Elder Ring.
Sorry. My brain goes places. Yes, I was one of the oldest that I just said, so we didn't need that extra line. Yeah, I already explained it.
Well, between you and him, to be honest, like I think you guys were the most memorable in that show. I just think that there was, just your characters. It just, those are the two characters that I never forgot. When I watched it, I'm like, oh yeah, this. But you guys, if somebody asked me before I rewatched this thing, about the show, you were the two that I remember the most because you were kind of like the buddies, like almost like the kind of bullies, I guess, of the camp, I guess you would say. But it was super fun that the avenue that they took for the show with, having those standard kind of kids at camp that pick on the other kids. Like it just, everything worked for me. And I feel like even going back and watching it now, it's still super fun, and I hate to say the word basic, but it's like it was like straight storytelling. There wasn't a lot of like craziness to it. It was simple, and it just was effective.
Well, some people haven't watched the show. Maybe you should explain it when it aired and the little bit of the premise. But we were one of the only, me and Danny Cooksey and Kirk were only the 3 carryovers from the pilot. We ended up shooting 2 pilots altogether before the show actually got picked up. So we did a pilot which a pilot is a first episode where they try to get it to market. And we did it with a different cast, but it was Danny Cooksey or Budnick and Ugg and me. Then they made another pilot, and somehow they were recasting, and I had an audition for Salute Your Shorts, and I already did it like 5 months ago. And I'm like, how do I got an audition for the show that I supposedly am on, that I did the first pilot episode? So I went into the audition. They're like, Michael, what are you doing here? I'm like, oh, I got fired, I guess. So now we're doing a new pilot to hopefully with Nickelodeon to go to series. And they're like, why are you here? So I was like, what? I did the audition again. I guess I earned the role for the second pilot. And then we did that pilot. Then we went to network and created all the episodes. But it's just a weird thing how we had to do 2 different pilot episodes, and then they recasted, but they wanted me again. And thank God I somehow got the audition again in order to be on the show, because I guess they were technically looking elsewhere. And if they didn't find somebody, they might have called me back. But I went to that audition. They're like, we didn't expect you here. So something got crisscrossed, and they fell in love with me again, and I got the part. But yeah, we're the only 3 carryovers into the show.
I'd obviously watched the show, but I never dug into like the background of it, and I dug into the Wikipedia and stuff. So it could be true. It could be bullshit. Is it true?
Wikipedia.
Is it true that when you and Danny Cooksey were cast, that your roles were flip-flopped, and then when the show went to air? See, I wasn't sure, so I wanted to talk to you. On the Wikipedia, it says that you were initially kind of the head, like kind of tough guy bully role, but then when it came to air, or when it came to actually producing the episodes, so you haven't heard of any of that? That just proves that Wikipedia is like kind of all over the place.
Wikipedia says I'm married. I am to Dina.
I saw that earlier.
Apparently I'm married, and I love llamas, and I run a llama farm.
Well, you may need to protest the Wikipedia, because what it says is that initially you were going to be Budnick's role, but he had grown taller than you or something. So it sounded odd, and I had never heard that.
I mean, Elon Musk needs to get off the computer for a little bit. Because,
but you guys were
it's not all accurate.
But it does sound like it was true that you and Cooksey and Kirk Bailey were like the only carryovers like that made it to series, and you had made a movie or something with the director of the pilot before, or you had done a short film with that director. Is that true?
Yes. His name is Randall Miller. He did an AFI short film that I worked on called Marilyn Hotchkiss Ballroom Dancing and Charm School.
Mm-hmm.
And that AFI student short film, I forgot the actors that were. William Hurt was in it, like some decent actors. And then it actually became a movie with John Goodman a few years later. So some of the cast was retained and in the movie. And he got in contact or knew some people that was making the pilot to Salute Your Shorts, and I was one of the actors that he brought into the audition. And 3 out of the original pilot cast were from that short film.
Right.
So that short film had a big influence on the original pilot. And then, like I said, they realized, we can't have all these white people. I think they were all white. I'm just saying they had to add diversity. Yeah. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just making a funny joke. And then they had to recast, because they're like, we can't have your short film in every cast member in Salute Your Shorts. It just doesn't work. Mm-hmm. So they recast. But yeah, he was a big influence on Salute Your Shorts. And then he went on to direct a bunch of movies. Look him up. But he had a situation where somebody died on the train tracks. He was doing a bioepic movie. I forgot the name of the artist, but he was doing a biopic movie.
Was it
And
the Allman Brothers movie? I remember
Red
when that happened a
Almond,
few
something
years
like that.
ago.
Yeah, where this girl, he was the director of this project because he had a
Oh,
production company.
wow.
He made a lot of movies. The Sixth Man in the
Mhm.
'90s, House Guest with Sinbad. Um, I was supposed to be the role in what was it, Clash Act.
I love that
Oh, yeah?
movie with Kid
Hell
and
yeah.
Play.
Yeah, I was supposed to be the role that was given to Pauly Shore, but
Mm.
they ended up giving it to Pauly at the end. It was me against Pauly, and they wanted the Weasel.
Yeah, it should have been Bauer. Should have been Bauer.
It's all good. But yeah, he had a bad situation that took him out of directing because
Mm.
somebody passed away on a film shoot, and it went to court in Atlanta. It's fascinating. Just look it up, Randall Miller. It's fascinating, but he's doing well, and it sucks that anybody had to lose their life.
Yeah.
And it's just it was an interesting courtroom case. And now in my old age, I like to learn about those things. You know.
I think it's cool. When I was reading up the show, like about that time, I forget what the name of the other shows were, but for some reason, the studios, some guy in a suit has a big idea, somebody does one thing, we got to do this too. And apparently there was a big camp show on NBC or something, and there was a book. Steve, is it Slavkin? Is that how you say his name?
Yes.
I believe he wrote a book about his experiences at camp. Is that correct? And then they kind of commissioned him to write the show and kind of put everything together. That's what I read anyway.
Yeah, I think it became a bestseller,
Mhm.
and then networks and agents or whatever started to call him and say, "Hey, can we make this into a show?" Because in the mid '80s to late '80s, there was a lot of camp shows. You had Ernest would do Ernest Goes to Camp. Around that time as well, they were making NBC Movie of the Weeks. One that I don't know why I didn't get the part. Maybe it's because I was auditioning for Salute Your Shorts at the same time. But they made Camp Cucamonga. It was a movie with all the actors that were on NBC. So like the girl and I was on Wonder Years a lot around this time. So I don't know why I didn't get a role, but yeah, it's just camping was very popular. So
Mhm.
they were picking up properties,
Yeah.
where they can from viral bestsellers, whatever.
So yeah, I mean it's super cool, and like we talked about, it aired from I think 91, and then it was only 2 seasons, but it feels so much longer because going back and watching this now, like there's a lot of episodes per season. Like it was a big stretch. So with that being said, like where did you guys film this? It was LA, right? That you guys filmed it, and it was at a camp. Now, did you guys have to like report there on the daily? Like how many episodes did you guys, what was the filming schedule like? Because like I said, for one season, I feel like I was watching this thing for like 2 days trying to get through season 1. I was like, wow, there's a boatload of episodes here.
I mean, I think you're sadly mistaken. We only did 26 episodes total. And
like for complete the whole series was 20 something episodes.
26
Wow.
episodes.
That's bonkers.
Yeah. So,
it felt longer than that for sure.
That means you didn't enjoy the show.
I love it. I
Why
love
we going
it.
to Camp Rad Pack? It seems so long. Donkey Lips is so freaking annoying. What the hell is going on?
I was watching some of those episodes, and I literally
though, right? They're 30-minute episodes.
Well,
so
yeah, I guess they were.
Yeah, 24 minutes. They normally relegate 6 to 7 minutes for commercials. And so yes, we like I said, we did the first pilot, then we did a second pilot, then it got picked up for an order of 7.
For that first season?
Yeah, and they used the pilot as one, the second pilot that we filmed. So then we had 6 episodes to film. And then once they aired like 1 or 2 of the 3 of the episodes, then we got picked up for, they call it a back 6. And so then we got picked up for a back 6 while we were filming probably the 6th episode. And then we didn't know about the second season until, months after it aired. But our routine was we filmed in a studio. We had a studio in the San Fernando Valley. They built, not for the pilot, but the other 6 official episodes. We had a studio made out of like a little building in a warehouse in North Hollywood. And so they built the bunks. They built the 2 girl cabins, the girls' bunk, the boys' bunk. Then they had I guess it's called the commissary or the lodge. We kind of did it all. The lodge and the commissary was all combined. And then on the adjacent side of the set, then we had the little rooms where we did the Cinderella play. We did the food fighting room. We built the theater on the little edge of it. So that was basically the stage. So we had like 3 sets that stayed all together. The boys' bunk, the girls' bunk. Then there was like some trees or whatever, like a little hallway. Then we had the commissary and lounge. Then we had a little area where they could build 2 different sets at each time. So we would build that. We would normally film there to end the week, like Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, depending on the script, how much we have to do outdoors. But the outdoor days where we did have to film outdoors, those are normally like the first days of the week, like Monday and Tuesday, and then that way we can end the week in the studio, and it's a lot better for people. And then we filmed it multiple places outdoor. William O. Douglas Outdoor Classroom is one. There's a place that we frequented, William Douglas Outdoor Classroom off of Mulholland out here in LA. We did all the lake stuff, the trail stuff, the car stuff. And then we filmed outdoors at the Griffith Park Boys Club. They had like bunks and everything, but those are actual models that you see in the intro and stuff like that. They're like little miniature models, because they didn't have bunks that look like the show. That was filmed at Griffith Park Boys Camp, where we played baseball, basketball, tennis. We did somewhere else. I don't remember that exact place, but we did frequent the Griffith Park Boys Camp a lot for the outdoor field and stuff like that. So those are the 2 locations. Then we frequent a place called Tree People every once in a while for more lakes, more trees, and the woods, like the Zeke the Plumber type stuff episodes. So that gives you a good idea of where we filmed, for people that like to look up locations.
Yeah.
And that was the schedule. There it is. There's the filming locations as best as
It's like
possible.
a pretty hectic schedule, no? Like,
I mean,
in the sense that if you're doing outdoor stuff for like 3 different episodes, and then the back end of the week doing like the indoor stuff for
no,
multiple
it's one
episodes,
episode. Sorry, yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you
no,
made
it's
a
fine.
good point right there. You made a good point. No, it was 1 episode a week. So
Okay.
basically 5 days to film an episode. And then in that episode, if we had outdoor stuff, it might have been relegated for that episode for Monday and Tuesday to be at one of these locations. And then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday back at the bunks to finish that episode. Nowadays, sometimes they film an entire season all together on location. So you'll be outdoors for a movie or a TV show, and they already got the scripts written. We were writing scripts while we were filming.
Wow.
And, we normally got the new script for the next week on that Friday, and then they would figure out where to go outdoors, next Monday or whatever. And it kind of worked that way. But nowadays, they kind of film everything in 1 month. They'll go outdoors and they'll film the entire movie. Then they'll go to a studio, film the rest of it. So we were a little bit different. Plus, we were a single camera show. Many of Nickelodeon shows back in those days were like in studios, and they were just building a studio. And we were a single camera show, and we were in LA, and a lot of stuff they were doing in Orlando and other places. And I don't know if remember the budgets of our show, but you could read it in a book called Slimed, a Nickelodeon oral history. And I think our budget per episode might have been like 150,000, which is really cheap for stuff like that back in those days. Even a normal Nickelodeon show that was filmed in Orlando was probably 200,000, 250. So they got away with some good directors, good cast on a very limited budget.
Were you guys able to?
That might have been the downfall of the show. We can talk about that a little later.
So you got, I know you knew a couple of the cast members, but when you guys got like the set cast like all set up, did you guys have any time to like get to know each other or hang out and bullshit, or were you kind of just thrown into like starting to film? Because you guys had I felt like you guys had great chemistry. Like you guys, you know, seemed like a group of kids that, you know, got along and had fun, like right from the beginning, from the first
We
episode.
we had a barbecue at the writer's house once we got casted, and then I think we had one day where we walked around a camp. I don't remember the camp's name. Forgive me, but we had like 2 days to kind of coexist, and they were, they have producers and writers and casting directors watching you. Are they going to be a problem? Is something going to happen? Are they getting along? You know, it was kind of weird to think about it, but you know what? I'm good people. Most of them are good people, so we had no issues. We were just happy to work, and so we were going to make friends regardless. But a lot of us were into different things, and we didn't really hang out on the set because we all had different hobbies. It doesn't mean we don't care about each other, we don't appreciate each other, but we were kind of honestly, all of us into majorly different things, and we were a little bit of a different age group, like I
Mhm.
just spoke about. So, yeah, we didn't spend much time off of the set together, or unless we were working or doing stuff. But we loved each other. It's like a family. You got problems here and there, and it's all good.
But for the most part, everybody got along. It was just pretty good time.
Oh yeah, man. Me and Danny got into a ton of fights on the basketball court. We were
Oh,
throwing things at each other. We had bad days. We had good days. We had a lot of days where I don't want to see your face.
well, that kind of works for the dynamic of your characters because you guys were kind of like frenemies in a way. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, they wrote me as the bully. Going back to your Wikipedia article, they wrote me as the tag-along to Budnick, who
mm,
was the harasser, who was the bully. So I appear in both the pilots to be a bully. So maybe that's why Wikipedia wrote that. But
mm,
as the series grew, the writers learned my heart and who I was as a person. So they slowly started to write my character into loving manners because they witnessed my actual progression in life, and so they wrote it into the show. So that's why I end up with a company. I end up with the girl Dina
mhm.
because I'm the OG baby.
I did
Yeah, I
like how
mean,
they kind of did that. Even like the people that were kind of like they even try to give Budnick some moments where to show like a little sensitive side and
Rock and
vulnerability.
roll. He was playing rock and roll with Steve Vai
Mm.
and doing all that music stuff.
I
So they
which I
put a
heard you did
band
back. Did you? Is it true you did background vocals on that track? I read that.
on Bad for Good. Yeah, I did some stuff for his album
That's
with
awesome.
Steve Vai. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
so
yeah.
cool.
that is
That's so cool.
that's what I
We
was going
hung
to
out a
say.
lot, man. When they went on tour, or Danny Cooksey with Steve Vai and Bad for Good, they went on local tours, to a lot of places locally. I was going in there and Donkey Lips was moshing.
That's the shit.
I mean, yeah, that's what I was going to say is that they did give him a lot of, like, as much as he seemed like he was the bully, there was a lot of parts where, you saw that he was really a good kid inside. Like, there's a lot of those moments where him and Michael, like, were enemies, but, like, at the same time, they became, like, real good friends. And, that kind of bleeds into, some of the episodes, like I said, that watching this again
I just
after
wanted to say
many, many
hi to
years.
the beautiful girl.
Hey,
We're gonna let her talk it up in a second right here. She's got a lot of questions.
Justin already asked all my questions. I told you he would.
That
Yes,
happens
I
all
will
the
date
time.
you.
It happens
Yes,
every time.
I will
You had a
get
big list
married
of
to a
questions. I
second
asked them
woman.
all.
I will get married to a second woman, apparently.
Yeah, he's already married, so yeah. But yeah, like going
I'm
back,
not.
watching some of these episodes, it was like it took me back, like as a little kid sitting on my, living room floor. Like I feel like I just watched this yesterday, like that episode where Michael like was going to get beat up by the bully, so he kept making videos to like go home and stuff with his grandmother. He would message his grandmother and say he was sick or he wanted the brownies, all this stuff. Like I watched that and it felt like I was 9 years old again watching that for the first time. Like I could picture myself watching that episode live. It's just weird how some of these episodes just, are in your brain and you forget about them. And as soon as you watch it, you're like, oh my God, like I remember being there when this aired for the first time, and such
Yeah,
memorable stuff.
that episode's called Brownies for Thud Mackey, where Thud Mackey was requesting brownies from Michael. But yeah, watch the gag reel. The gag reel is somewhere online, and you can watch. They were, I don't know, they must have drank too much Pepsi or Coca Cola, but because there's some funny gag reel stuff from that day where they put the hippo when they were filming the videos, him and Danny Cooksey or
Mhm.
Budnick. Yeah, you got to
Yes.
watch that. It's really funny.
Yeah, there was some great shit, man, and even the food fight and stuff like that that everybody did and whatnot. So good. Like I think to myself, like, what a day that must have been on set, where everybody's like, "I'll see all these pies here. Let's just go at it." Just destroy them.
We hated it. We hated it. The food fights suck.
Uh,
The days suck for everybody. I mean, think about the crew, the people that are making the props. They got to buy the food. What type of food is it? Is it accidentally frozen? Did it have time to thaw before we throw it at each other?
Yeah.
And then you can only film it once. I mean, let's be honest with you. You can
That's
only film.
you can't reset that.
I mean, you could if they got a lot of money, but it would take like an hour to clean it up, and the actors would have to get out of their wardrobe, and then it would require more T-shirts, more money. So typically, because we were a low-income show, we're like, we're gonna do it once. Any camera that's working, pull it out. If you got a DSR, whatever might have been available, let's film this food fight. Here's what's gonna happen. And I love it. There was one episode where we did a food fight where somebody messed up their lines really, really bad. And they're like, keep going! Say it again!
Time is money.
It's just so funny. But yeah, the food fights sucked. I mean, they're fun in the moment, but when you really get hit with a frozen hamburger that the prop department forgot to thaw before you do it,
Did that really happen?
yes.
You got hit by a piece of flying frozen beef?
I ain't saying no names, but people got hit.
Oh, shit.
People got hit by frozen hamburgers.
And they know they're frozen too, and they throw them, obviously. So people are just out for blood, apparently not giving a shit. Like, this is my time to be a kid and get away with some crazy shit. That's hilarious.
The food fights, and then we had extras sometimes, and they're getting like $20 a day to work, and they're getting hit with frozen hamburgers and peas, and I'm like, I feel so bad for them. I'm just like, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Can I get your number? You're kind of cute.
Like that extra that was sitting there, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna pull this kid's shirt down and do awful waffle to this random kid that was an extra that day on the show."
Dude, he was in like 3 or 4 episodes, and then he was in the pilot, the first pilot, the second pilot. Then he did like an episode somewhere in the middle. Then he was in the final episode where I had a company where I built birdhouses. So they loved having that kid in.
That is funny. Mel, I don't know if how far you got through it, but did you notice that there was an episode where the girls were talking about all the Corys?
Yeah, I did see that one.
You saw that one? I like that. The shout out to the Feld Dog and Haim and all that stuff. I was like, hell yeah. That was like the episode where Sponge was trying to win the money on the radio.
Yeah,
the pop culture stuff. They were learning about the pop culture stuff.
Uh-huh.
And
like, you gotta learn about all the Corys. You gotta learn about all the Corys, and she's explaining to him. Yeah, that was awesome. Big Corys fan up top of there.
Yeah, there was a lot of cameos from actors that did some important stuff, like in the '90s and stuff like that. What can't I think of his name? But the kid that I'm friends with him, I can't think of the names right now. But the actor that played in The Sandlot, he's in one of the first episodes. He was the fat kid from The Sandlot.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot the character's name.
Jesus.
Squinch? No, not Squinch.
Not Squinch. Oh my God. What's his name? The ketchup. Porter. Hamilton Porter.
Yeah, Hamilton, and he was in The Big Green as well. But yeah, he's in one of the first early episodes. Watch him. He's really young. It's really, really interesting stuff.
Was the second pilot like? So the second pilot was like the
first episode that you watched where Michael arrives at camp?
And is that the okay when that's not the one with the radio contest?
No,
that was later.
The second pilot, which is basically the first episode of the show, was Michael arrives at camp where he meets us getting off of the bus, and then the bed falls down and all that other stuff.
So yeah, I mean. Now it's funny to me because, when you move to me, I feel like, besides Mel, because she didn't have Nickelodeon, we already went through this, but as a kid,
I didn't have it either. I was on a show.
You should have got it for free. What the fuck?
Nickelodeon. I mean, first off, my father's working 2 jobs, in that Reaganomics or whatever is going on, and I didn't even have enough money for cable. And I was on a show that was low income, so I didn't get paid much. So they're like, Michael, your show's going to premiere tonight at 6 o'clock on the Nickelodeon Camp Special. Oh, can I come over? Can I watch it?
Oh yeah, because it premiered as like kind of a special, right? Was it meant to be a series where they were testing the waters to see how people liked it or whatever?
So the original pilot, they said it was never aired. That is a lie. The original pilot that is now online, search YouTube. I react to it. But it aired like as a summer special one day or something. Then they decided not to bring it back. Then, like I said, I don't know what happened. Then they made another pilot. And then what was your question? Oh, yeah. Then the second pilot originally aired as well, like another camp special for the day. But we were already filming and they knew it was going to be a series. So when it came back, they aired the first episode again for like the third time. Then it became a series like every 2 weeks or every week, or however they aired it.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting because you just said, it was a, low income show, blah, blah, blah. But as a kid, I feel like everybody was watching that. As far as I remember in school, kids would sing the song. I mean, it felt like a lot of people watching it. So it had to have been considered a hit, at least that first season for sure, right?
It wasn't. It wasn't. I mean, you got to think about ratings. Everybody was involved in ratings back in the days. They had the Nielsen ratings. Did you become a Nielsen family? No, I didn't call them up. I didn't get the little box from my house.
I remember those.
Do you want to become a Nielsen family? Whatever. But the most ratings I ever heard from either producers or Nickelodeon people was one episode hit like 180,000. So you got to think on average, we're probably doing 120, 150,000. And the network shows like Wonder Years, 10 million a night.
Right. Now, was it a Nickelodeon thing or was it a show thing?
Nickelodeon thing.
Okay.
No,
so that was
a lot of people didn't have cable.
Right.
How many people actually subscribed to Nickelodeon? At that time, it might have been 1 million. So if we got 180,000, that's like almost 20% for the people that are actually subscribed to Nickelodeon. So technically it's a Nickelodeon hit because it's got 20%. Anything over 15% is a hit. And nowadays, shows that air on, it's not national television anymore, but like they barely get $1 million and they get 20 seasons. They only get 1 million viewers.
So it was considered a hit to the Nickelodeon standards, at least, for what
Correct.
they were doing at the time. Now, that obviously got you to a second season. Now, it's funny going back and watching that. How long between season 1 and season 2 was it for you on a break? Because you guys come back and everybody seems way older. And then obviously you get the replacement of Michael is gone at that point, and you get a new character in the mix. And I'm just curious, like, was that decision made right away? Like, hey, we're going for season 2. Like, what was the transition like for that?
Well, again, they didn't know if they wanted to shoot more episodes because Nickelodeon they wanted us to move to Orlando, do stuff out there, but they were figuring out the cost cutting, how they could save money if we film it in a Nickelodeon studio. They were basically trying, if our budget was 150, they were trying to get us down to like 100.
God.
For season 2, you're saying, to save a little bit of money on season 2?
Yeah, they were doing everything they could. So it took like, I think 9 months until we officially went back again. And you got to remember the kids are 12, 13, 14. I mean, they're growing up. Puberty's hitting all of them at the same time. Right. I think I was past my puberty point. I was like 17 or 16, 17, whatever. But yeah, that's what happened. It took like another maybe 8 months. But we found out probably 5 months later, 6 months later, they're like, okay, we're going to greenlit it. Now we're going to produce it. And then you guys are coming back in a couple of months.
Now, what was that like with the transition in the sense that, like, when the first season ended, when you guys stopped filming, was it kind of like, what now? Like, was there like, hey, hold tight, we're going to keep you posted on what's going on? Or were you guys like, okay, that's done. Now, where are we all going to go? And
yeah, we didn't know we were getting a second season. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
Please remember the question. We didn't know we were getting a second season. Like I said, we finished it. We thought we were done. We had a wrap party. We hugged and we kissed. We thought it was all done because we didn't really hear anything, in the final weeks. Like I said, we barely got ordered for another 6 episodes after we filmed the 6. So there was a delay between those 6 and the final 6 for like 2 months. So it's like a whole year basically passed. before the second season. We didn't know. And then we had to recast because the actor Michael Eric MacArthur had some family issues, and he had to live in Hawaii, and he had to go to school out there, and so they had to recast. So we actually did more auditions. We did mix and matches with a bunch of actors until they hired Blake Sennett that played Pinsky for the second season. So we did a bunch of mix and matches. And one thing I just want to give kudos to, I've never spoke about this, but they let us pick the actor that played Pinsky. Wow. They let the entire cast, after we did auditions back and forth with probably 10 different people, they let us pick who we enjoyed working with and who we felt like we had a chemistry with and who we would enjoy, because they wanted that chemistry to have a good set environment to continue.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It sounded like your director or the showrunner there seemed to really fight for you guys and want you guys to be happy. Because I heard, I'm skipping a little bit to the third season. You guys, maybe you could.
We didn't do a third season,
right? You got it. The option was there, right? They just couldn't get it to work. I heard. Forgive me for getting what's the director's name that you guys work with?
Well, there was a lot of them. We had certain directors would direct. I think we had like 6 directors in total. Some of them did 2 or 3 episodes each. In both seasons, but we had a varying amount of directors.
Maybe I'm thinking of Steve. What I read, and you could tell me if this is wrong.
He's the showrunner, the creator, and the head writer, and he's the voice of Dr. Khan.
Oh, he does Dr. Khan.
The camp overseer, yeah.
So I heard that they were ready to do a third season, and he was fighting for you guys to get more money and this and that. And then there was the whole deal with the move. Is there any truth to all that? Like, it sounds 100%. Like people wanted it. The third season could have happened, but you guys just couldn't get there for one reason or another.
There was negotiations, to agents, because they have to figure out how much it's going to cost to move forward for the actors. Are the actors willing to move? There was some advice for us to move to Florida. Again, that was happening the whole 2 seasons. And for Steve's credit, I cannot speak on his behalf, but something happened monetarily or with creative decisions or something where he walked off the set.
Yeah, that's what I heard. It's so crazy.
Toward the end of the season, in our final 3 or 4 episodes, I guess they were negotiating a third season with our agents and everybody, asking how much do we want and this and that. And whatever happened on their end, he walked off the set, and we were like, wow, our president, our head guy is gone. Is he coming back? We didn't really know what was going on. So we finished filming the episodes, and then we had a wrap party, and he showed up, of course, but we all were crying because we knew it was over. We just had that feeling that the minute he left, like he left for a reason. Mm-hmm. And if he didn't come back, a week later, that means him leaving didn't end up in better negotiations. Mm-hmm. So we filmed for like 3 episodes after that, and nothing came back, and there was no news, and we had a wrap party, and we're like, it's over unless we hear something. So I still hold out to this day for a third season.
With everything
I literally have dreams, man. I have dreams that I'm on Salute Your Shorts again, like in year 2024 or 25, and we're filming episodes. Like I do have them.
I feel like there's a world now where they keep on bringing these shows back from the 90s. I feel like there's a world where that could happen. I don't know.
There are no camps in real life. Who the hell wants to watch a camp show? What kids are going to camp?
I do, damn it.
I do, damn it.
Again, there's probably one camp across America nowadays. Everything is gone. It's mini malls. It's stay at home due to COVID. I don't know what's going on.
You guys could all be counselors now. That would be the new
That would be a great reboot.
I hate that when people write me, fans, oh, I love the show. I wrote a reboot. I wrote a movie. I wrote the third season. Guess what? Here's my kick. Here's the thing that's gonna get everybody.
The counselors.
You're all counselors now. Oh,
yeah,
shit.
It's like the most obvious thing.
Your brain, you came up with that, man. You went to sci-fi world to figure that one out.
Well, let
I
me ask
love
you this. I know we're getting it. It was sad that the show's canceled, but I do want to talk about some happier times in the show. We are huge, and I know you are too. I've heard you talk about horror movies and stuff. We're huge horror fans. And I see the shirt behind you. That Zeke episode, which is oftentimes confused for an Afraid of the Dark. Are You Afraid of the Dark episode? People still say, "Oh, that one. Are You Afraid of the Dark?" It's like, no, it's salute your freaking shorts. You know, that episode, I
That was the
rewatched
first
it.
episode we filmed.
No shit. Can you please
I mean,
tell me about?
we did the pilots,
Yeah,
but the first episode when we became a series was that episode.
that's
So
a
that was-
complicated episode. Like a night
Oh, it
shoot. You
is.
guys are outside.
It is.
You got Ugg hanging from the deal. You're walking around with the pumpkin head. There's so much going on, and it's filmed like a legit like slasher film. It really is.
Yeah, we were. Most of the actors, they couldn't be, overnight filming, so they had right when it went dark, they had to film, the younger actors. And then me and Danny, we were probably like 17 or 18, so we could be there later at night due to the legal laws or requirements. So that's why you only see Danny and me like wearing a pumpkin helmet because we were only able to be there later at night, and the rest of the people have to go home. So it was interesting.
What a cool mask they did for him. It was kind of so like different, right? But it worked so well. It was creepy and freaky.
Do you know the history of it? Did you look up the history
No.
of it?
No.
I don't know.
Apparently, I think it's a William Shatner mask that was made like in the 60s or 70s, and it's flipped upside down. And it's the same thing as the story for the Michael Myers mask. It's basically the same type of Michael Myers mask. I think they used a William Shatner mask for that Michael Myers movie or Halloween. And it's the same thing for this one. And then they turned it around, and then they put on, whatever they did.
Oh, that bloody nose is so creepy.
And they created Zeke the Plumber. But it's kind of interesting to think that the Halloween character Michael Myers and Zeke the Plumber are basically the same William Shatner
right.
mask.
So did they do it?
Did
they do it inside out? Is that what they did? Inside,
they
flipped
did,
it inside.
Yeah.
Oh,
So that's
and then they painted areas and stuff like that. So the person that made the outfit, they were a big Halloween fan from the movie. And I didn't know till many years later that that's how they did it, because I didn't really reference the two. But yeah, so Salute Your Shorts and Halloween and Zeke the Plumber, William Shatner, Michael Myers. It's like all
I
there.
mean, you never
That's
know
so
though. An
cool.
episode like that was really popular, because I remember, again, that was another one kids always talked about. Did you see that episode, Zeke the Plumber? Maybe with that idea of them doing that, who knows, could that have sparked an idea of like a more scary stories type show like Are You Afraid of the Dark? Could that have been a precursor, right, to
That's a good point. That's a good point. I think it might have. I'll be honest. I think it might have, because it was really popular. Really popular. That might have been the episode that on repeats got the most repeat, because on the first viewing, people don't know what it is. And then on the repeats, when they saw it on the cable channels that would say, Salute Your Shorts episode, Zeke the Plumber, then people would tune in. I think that's the one that got the most popular. So I think you're right. I'll be honest, Nickelodeon probably wanted to greenlight a horror series. And then Danny Cooksey, the actor that played Budnick, wasn't he in one of those
he was in one of the
Society
stories
videos?
Yes, I think he was in one of the stories. I'm just trying to think of which one it was. But with all that being said, and you talked about getting to choose, who took Michael's place, was there anybody that came across that audition that you look back and you're like, oh my God, that kid that either was in another movie or another show? Like, was there anybody that came across that audition for that new character that maybe you guys didn't choose, but he went on to do other things that people may know?
I mean, for the pilots, I remember a couple of big actors, and I can't remember their names right now. Sorry, guys, I've had a long day. But for Blake, I know Sean Weiss. I think he auditioned. The actor, he's been a friend of mine for years, that played Goldberg. He auditioned for that character as well. Anybody else that comes to mind? There's rumors that, like, what was it? The guy from Newsies. I worked with him on Newsies. Christian Bale. There's rumors that he was in the audition room, but I don't remember him. I really don't remember him. So to be quite honest with you, no.
Now, after the
think of
series
anybody.
ended, the season and everything was all done. Now, did you kind of stick around, like, and do anything else with Nickelodeon? Because I mean, to me, you're kind of one of those. When you think about the Nickelodeon kids from that era, like you definitely are somebody that kind of stand out. Like, were you in the mix to kind of jump on anything else, or did you have different cameos in other shows? Were you still kind of in the mix of like the people that were doing a lot of Nickelodeon stuff at that time?
So yeah, I got on a few different shows. I can't remember all of them, but I got on a lot of '90s shows. By the grace of God. Um, but Nickelodeon was still in contact with me because, again, like you said earlier, me and Danny Cooksey and maybe Ugg were like the more prominent characters.
Mm-hmm.
And Danny Cooksey had a history of some quality projects as well. And then I went on to do some other work. So Nickelodeon wanted to use me and Danny, and we were getting offers to be like on a buddy comedy show, but it was going to film in Florida. Again, going back to that whole situation, it was going to film in Florida. They didn't know what it was going to be. It wasn't probably going to be a camp show, or it might have been an alteration of the camp show of us in real life. Then there was iterations that it's going to be a sketch comedy show. So they asked about my improv experience, and I had to film these videos in my acting classes at the time. So a lot was going on. Then they wanted us to move. They gave us an offer to do a show, and I mean, I was supporting my family. I was to move to Florida, I'd have to keep two households. I was over 18 at this point. I was just about graduating from school. Um, we can't do that for the same amount of money that I was getting on the Salute Your Shorts seasons earlier. And then they wanted me to pay the apartment to live in Florida while I'm earning a lower income in Florida, while I have to pay, because I help pay my family's bills. So I'd have to pay for my house or apartment in LA. I'd have to move to Florida while I'm in school graduating to get the same amount. I don't care telling it. It was like $1,650 a week or an episode, because it was an after contract, something different. And then I got to pay probably, $1,000 in LA for the house or the apartment, 800, whatever. Then I got to pay another 600-700 for the apartment while I'm only making it can't be done.
And then all your time sucked up doing a show, so it's hard to be available for other projects too. And meanwhile, these studios are making millions of dollars on the shows and paying their actors peanuts. It's just not fair.
Yeah, it didn't work out. So me and Danny, his agent, and everybody, we were telling them, you bring the ranks up, you bring it up to like $10,000 an episode. Now we're talking. Because if there's a guarantee to do at least 13 episodes, that's like $130,000 plus residuals. You might make 150, and that's normal people's salary for 1 year nowadays.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't doable. It was not doable. So we turned it down, and then 2 years later, Kenan and Kel comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's interesting, because I mean that could have easily been a show, right? Like that could have easily been.
It might have been us. They might have wanted us, because what was it called? All That was like a year and a half later. After Salute Shorts, it was like 2 years later. And then that's where Kenan and Kel was on, and all the other actors. So maybe they were developing a skit show, and they didn't know whether to give me and Danny our own show, or if they wanted to make us a part of that show, or something like that. So there's a weird world where if we accepted the offer, we could have been on All That, or we could have been Kenan and Kel and Donkey Lips and Budnick. I don't know, but there's a weird world where something was happening along the lines where you could foreshadow that type of stuff.
100%, because when you kind of look at like even a year or two later, Nickelodeon, that's kind of was their whole thing. They had a show, and then they did so many spin-offs with these characters that did other shows and other shows. So to have a character like you guys, who, like I said, you were the two most memorable outside of Ugg, obviously, but you guys were the Kenan and Kel. Like you guys feel like you're part of like a tag team or something. So to have you on your own spin-off show would have made so much sense, number one. And number two, it was kind of what Nickelodeon was doing for years and years to come.
Yeah, and, you're right. But years later, they created that show with
Amanda Bynes show.
They did chubby actor. What was it? And Drake Bell. Oh, Drake and Josh.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So they were building the Nickelodeon verse.
Right. Oh, 100%. That was its kind of its thing. And going back to that, and I know Justin and Mel, I think, have seen this too, but in the last couple of years, it's been interesting because we've gotten some documentaries about Nickelodeon. I don't know if you've got to be on at least. I know you're on one of them. I don't know which one, but they did like the Orange Years one.
Yeah, that's one.
And then obviously they did the recent one that they just did that everybody saw. Now,
the quiet on the set.
Yes. Now, did you partake in that at all? I don't remember if you were on that at all.
Uncomfortable.
Segue.
Uncomfortable.
Well, I mean, you were on Orange Years.
I did not take part in it, but some of the situations when I did officially watch it brought back some traumatic situations, and I had to rethink a lot of situations from working with some of those people that they mentioned and the environment I was in. And I had some stories because one of the accused, I'm not going to say accused, he is convicted, but one of the main persons, Brian Peck, that was mentioned in that documentary that worked with the Nickelodeon actors, I did a horror movie with him called The Willies, where I worked with him for a couple of months in San Diego. And I had some experiences that I always remembered from my life. And now watching the documentary, it all came full circle. And I didn't know that he was literally convicted for all these other situations. Then I rethought about my situations working with him, and I went, wow, I'm not a part of Quiet on the Set, but I technically have stories. And then there was an instance with another Nickelodeon executive that befriended me when we were filming the first 6 episodes, that we spoke about in the first season. And, we hung out with him. He brought me t-shirts from MTV, Yo MTV Raps. I wish I still had that damn shirt. But he took me out to like an amusement park with a friend of mine, and we filmed videos. We went to Disneyland, like on the weekends off, because he had to be and oversee the entire production of Salute Your Shorts for the first 3 or 4 episodes. And then on the weekends we had off, and he was a cool guy, it was awesome. Reminded me of me. He was, a heavy-set gentleman. But I started hanging out with him. I'm still 16, 17, whatever the age is officially. And it's just not a good situation now that I've watched Quiet on the Set. So I spoke on a YouTube video about my experiences, and it went viral because Quiet on the Set went so damn viral. And then the producers of Quiet on the Set wanted, tell us more, give us more content, give us more. Oh, you're not telling the whole truth. Yes, I did. I said everything in my damn video. I don't think I was groomed officially, and nothing officially happened. I just had scary ass moments now that I recollect.
Well, I mean, you can easily look back in time where something didn't seem like anything, but then when you read and you see this documentary, I'm sure you can look back and say, oh yeah, I guess that was a little weird now that I look at it from a different lens. I can totally understand that happening. And what I wanted to ask is that at that point, when you did the Willies, because you and I have actually talked about the Willies before, because growing up, I loved that movie. And now with you guys both being involved, was that something that you guys met through?
Hey, don't lump me in with him.
No, well, I'm saying
involved. I didn't do nothing. I didn't do nothing.
You being in that movie, was that after Salute Your Shorts? I can't remember. It had to have been.
It was before.
Oh, that was before Salute Your Shorts. So there was no connection of Nickelodeon and anywhere of why you were cast for that and him being involved and all that stuff. No.
He was doing all that Nickelodeon stuff after.
Okay. So I just didn't know. So you did Willies before. Yeah, because I guess you did seem a lot younger.
I did Willies like in 80, like maybe the tail end of 89, early of 90.
You're right.
And then we did Salute Your Shorts like in the mid 90s. I filmed the pilots like in early 90, and then it aired from like 90 through 92. So it's all around that same time. But it was before, and he had nothing to do with our show. He was friends with other popular people, and he went on to work for Nickelodeon in other different ways. But I used to hang out on the set with him because, I filmed the movie with him, and I was good friends with Leonardo DiCaprio. We were all in the same acting class, and I was friends with Brian Peck, who directed the Willies, and now I'm on a Nickelodeon show. I was going to the set of Growing Pains all the time. And then if you watch the movie The Willies, there's like 4 or 5 different actors from the Growing Pains
Yep.
in the movie
Ben,
The Willies.
Beaver, yeah.
So it was all a combined effort and thing. And like I said, I watch all these videos, and it's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, it really is in how, again, like you said, you're kind of in the mix, but you're not in the mix because you were a little bit before when all this stuff was kind of going down. But it was interesting, like you said, after this was all over and you did not make that move
I just
to
wanted
Florida.
to say hi to the beautiful girl.
Hello.
Okay.
I'm still
Mel,
here.
I feel like
what
you're
are you-
not
listening
involved.
intently.
I
What do you
want to
wanna
feel
chime
bad?
in?
Like I feel like you're not involved. I just feel bad.
No,
She's
I'm
okay.
listening.
She's
I
our
just-
supervisor. She chimes in if we screw up and
Yeah,
things like
I'm
that.
just here to keep Justin in place.
She keeps
I don't
me in
know a
line.
lot about Nickelodeon, and I didn't watch any of these shows, so I can't
Oh,
really. I
It's
didn't.
okay.
I didn't watch
You'll be
Quiet
our
on
new
the Set.
camper. You'll be our new camper.
That's right.
Oh, you
Well,
didn't
you-
watch Quiet on the Set?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you don't want to. It's
Yeah.
traumatic and it's really, really evil.
Yeah,
But then
I have
they
a
needed
trigger
more
for that kind
content.
of stuff, so I don't watch it.
They
But you
needed
wanna
more
watch the-
content.
The Orange Years you want to watch though. The Orange Years was
I
a
didn't
fun
watch
one.
that either.
That was a really
I
fun
don't
one,
know,
'cause
so
that
I
really
can't
brought me
comment
back.
on any of this stuff.
Well, why don't we chime into to this really quick, because I know Mel would be interested in hearing what you have to say. But I looked at IMDb because I know a lot of stuff that you had done.
Everybody hit that
after-
like button, hit that subscribe button. Consider donating to support to the Rad Pad podcast. Please, guys, they cannot make this stuff happen without your support. Because I cost a lot of money to come on these podcasts. Just
Yeah.
letting y'all know.
His
they need
fee
your
was
support.
crazy.
So what I noticed on your IMDb was I'm like, okay, I knew he was in this, but then I saw, and I guess it was uncredited. What is your relationship with Brain Scan? Because we're huge fans of that movie.
Oh,
And all of a
what?
sudden I saw that on your IMDb and I'm like,
Wait a
wait a
minute.
minute. Why is Brain Scan here? Like, obviously it must have been, what's the story there? Were you trying out for the show, for the movie? Were you an extra? Like, what was the deal?
So my name is Michael Bauer.
Oh,
There was also a show called Who's the Boss? There was a show where Angela's wife or husband on the original Who's the Boss couple episodes, her husband's name was Michael Bauer on Who's the Boss. Angela was the character before she hired whatever, but the husband passed away. So they used the name Michael Bauer a couple of times in the first couple episodes, but my name right around that time was trademarked, thanks to my agent and this and that. And anything similar in Hollywood, they have to pay for it. So I got a check from the Who's the Boss people for like $5,000 or something like that to use my name.
Just your name. Wow.
And
that's
then
interesting, man.
now I met Edward Furlong due to Danny Cooksey. He was filming Terminator 2 while we were filming Salute Your Shorts. So we built up a friendship, all three of us, and we were doing some crazy stuff. I got some stories for you on my channel. We'll get to some of that later. But so I met him, and then he got the part on Brain Scan or whatever, and I think they asked him what he wanted his character's name to be. And he said, Michael Bauer. I want Bauer power. So he said Michael Bauer. The writers put it in the Brain Scan. That's his character's name. But now, because I'm trademarked, he didn't even know it. They had to pay me to be a part of the movie with my name, Michael Bauer, as the main character's name. So on all the IMDb and everything, it says Edward Furlong, Michael Bauer, because they paid for my name. So they're associating that I was actually in Brain Scan, but I wasn't. But I think that's what all happened. I do remember auditioning for a part in it, but that's how my name is associated with Brain Scan with Edward Furlong.
That is insane.
That is
Well, that's
funny.
a fun story.
That is definitely a fun fact that I didn't know about. Now thinking about it, it's like, oh my god, yeah. But it made sense when I looked at that. I was like, okay, that makes sense because, like you said, you had Cookson and T2, and then you had Furlong and Brain Scan. So I was like, oh, maybe he snuck in there somewhere too, and I just must have missed what his role would have been. But
I worked with James Cameron many years later, and he remembered me from Cooksey, and apparently he watched an episode or two of Salute Your Shorts because I worked with James Cameron many years later on Dark Angel, and that's a great story for another time. But apparently he watched a couple episodes of Salute Your Shorts because he casted Danny Cooksey. So
That's
Yeah,
a crazy connection.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah, there's a theory. I don't know if you guys caught it. I think I posted it somewhere. Maybe I have it on file, but there's a theory that like all the T2 or after Budnick, I'm sorry, after Danny's character in T2, didn't rat out Edward Furlong to the T1000 or whatever, that his parents got mad at him because cops showed up at his doorstep, that he ended up going to Camp Anawana in a punishment, and it created the Camp Anawana universe from the T2 universe because he got busted by the cop and he hurt his eye when they threw him against the arcade machine. So he had to go to Camp Anawana.
I love it though.
Camp
I love when
Anawana
these
is a
things are
punishment
fun.
camp.
I love it.
Fan fiction.
It's a cool theory. It's a cool theory, man. Somebody made a video about it. It's pretty funny.
Well, speaking of theories or truths or facts, I saw someone put it in the comment section. I did read about this, about the rubber chicken on Salute Your Shorts.
Damn rubber chicken.
So that was basically in every episode or every scene. Was it episode?
Every episode. But you can't find it. I mean, we filmed on probably 360p. With today's people keep telling me, why isn't the show on 4K? Why isn't it on DVD? We can ask that question later, but you got to remember this was filmed on tape, and I can't find it in every episode. And I wish I knew where it was in every episode, but it's in the background somewhere. And it's in one of the food fights where they throw it across screen. It ended up in the episode, but you got to slow it down. But yeah, there's a rubber chicken with a cigarette in its mouth in every episode somewhere in the background or whatever. The cigarette is not lit. They didn't want to bring attention to it. And the crew members, they like to fool around and pull some little pranks and stuff like that. And there's a lot more hidden things that happen, but I don't think it made the editing or it made the final episode. But there were some little jokes. There might have been a flash in one of the episodes from somebody real far, far away, like in the background. Nickelodeon missed a few things, though. They missed a few things, and they let them in.
That's crazy.
That is funny, and doing a lot of different TV stuff going throughout your career. I know Mel's a big Doogie Howser fan. I know you were on that show.
I love Neil.
Right?
NPH for life.
He's awesome. He's a good dude.
I was a big Doogie Howser fan.
A couple years back, I had to make a GoFundMe because my life was being altered, and I had to ask for money from fans and friends and everything. And I made a GoFundMe, and he did it anonymously, but I heard from him another time. But he donated to me, and I'm like, I got so many donations from people that I didn't even think were following my life, and it just, why am I crying? I'm an emotional person, but I was just so emotional about some of the popular actors that still they donated to help me out.
Mm-hmm. That's incredible.
Love that dude. I love a lot of them. There's a lot of people still in my life, kinda from afar. I feel so blessed.
Well, that's one of the reasons that I know obviously all the shows and movies that you've done are incredible, but last night as I was...
Did you want to finish about Doogie Howser? I'm sorry. I felt like we did
No. Go ahead. Yeah, finish that up.
No, I didn't know what his question was about Doogie Howser.
No, I just know that I'd read that you were on a couple episodes, and I knew that Mel was a big fan of that show. So I wanted.
Yeah. They love my character. Yeah, I did a small episode where I'm in class, and he puts out a date when people technically become an adult. And I thought my character thought when they become an adult, that means they lose their virginity. So whatever his character said while he's teaching a class, the camera goes on me and he goes, yeah, it'll happen, when you're like 17 or 18. And then I go, summer 1989 or something like that, right? So then they did the prom episode a couple years later with Wanda and the actors. And the prom episode was taking place on that actual date when I said in the earlier episode that I would become a man and lose my virginity as the joke. So the prom episode, they brought me back, and then I have a date and I'm dancing, and then she goes, I got the keys, or I got the car, and she goes, I got the hotel key, and I go, I got the keys to the car. Let's go. So it's a weird Doogie Howser thing that I made up a date that I'm going to lose my virginity, And that date was on the prom night of that same year of the show, like 3 or 4 years later, where I'm technically now, you're seeing it on screen, I'm going to lose my virginity. And then the other character goes, "You go," like you had the date right. And the writers remembered it all and brought it all back. What a fascinating thing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you've worked with a lot of crazy people like in your life, and you can look and be like, oh, I had a part here, dude. Like, I know it said uncredited, but you were on Moonwalker. So did you have any action with Michael Jackson as well?
Yes. I mean, they hired me. I witnessed him from afar. At that interaction, like for the Moonwalker, I didn't have any in person until later in life when I worked at a comic book store. I have I've met Michael and worked with him like 3 times in my life, but no, on Moonwalker, I only had an interaction with his bubble monkey.
Monkey Bubbles.
No, his monkey Bubbles. Bubbles came to the set, and we filmed it on Sony Studios. He had a lawsuit against them many years later, but it was called Sony MJJ Studios, wow. Michael Jackson Studios. That's what Sony was. And we filmed on the original music video set that they filmed bad. And they had a children's version. You guys got to watch How I Became an Actor. There's a video on my YouTube channel. I'm sorry to promote and hijack the show. But go to youtube.com/Heybauer, HEYBOWER. And there's a video on my page. I think it's one of my main videos, How I Became an Actor. It tells you the whole story of Quincy Jones, how I worked in that Moonwalker, and all that other stuff. And then one of the girls that was in the Salute Your Shorts pilot, to bring it back to Salute Your Shorts, why can't I think of their names right now? Oh, I wasn't prepared. My brain is going. It's funny. I can drop names like Leonardo DiCaprio and Tobey Maguire and Edward Furlong. But when it comes to actors that are friends of mine that I still work with that were on the shows, I'm like, oh, I forgot your name. But she was the girl that played Annie in the Smooth Criminal video. She was one of the actresses in the original pilot that we filmed. She was the girl that played Annie in I'm a Smooth Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Annie, are you okay? So she was in Salute Your Shorts, and she played Dina in the original pilot.
Oh, she was the original Dina in the pilot.
She was the original, and she plays Annie in the Smooth Criminal Moonwalker video.
Now, we have a question from someone in the chat. Now, I don't recall this. Maybe you do. I don't really know. They said, who wrote that Officer Tom bit on Salute Your Shorts? There was a rock in a stream, and the Officer Tom saved me. I'll write back if you won't write me first. What was that about?
I think that's a reference where Dina said something about Officer Tom. Can you bring that back on screen? I want to read that quote.
Yeah.
I kind of don't. I remember her saying something about an Officer Tom. Dina was always the girl that was love crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a Quiet on the Set type of reference? I don't know. Who wrote that Officer Tom bit on Salute Your Shorts? Okay. There was a rock and a stream. Then Officer Tom saved me. I'll write back if you write me first. Wow. Now that I think about it, apparently she was a damsel in distress next to a rock in a stream, the character Dina, and then Officer Tom saved her, and she fell in love with a cop. I don't know what the writers meant. Who knows? But that sounds like a Quiet on the Set situation. If an Officer Tom is talking to
now, well, is there anything going back to even Salute Your Shorts that, if you look back on any of the episodes, you watch them again and be like, yeah, it was kind of weird that they had us do or say that. It seemed pretty straightforward, no?
I guarantee you I have not wanted to watch anything Nickelodeon ever since the documentary. And I would have to, because my memory is so shot nowadays, I'd have to watch the episodes to find those moments, but I don't want to look for them. Get it? I just want to leave it as is, because the Quiet on the Set ruined a lot of people's memories. And I was getting people right, oh, did it happen on your show? Did it happen on? So we had to make a public press conference, not a press conference, but like a statement. And then people were like, oh, this ruined Nickelodeon for me. It ruined my memories of your show. And I understand. I get it. When I was watching it, I was like, damn. it was a shock. So I don't want to watch anything Nickelodeon. I haven't even went back to watch my show. I've been wanting to do videos where I react to it every episode, but I haven't done it yet. And I think it'll take a few more months, but I'm going to get around to doing it. But I can't recollect, honestly. I know you want a certain moment that seemed a little bit weird. I can't really recollect them all. I'd have to watch the show again. I haven't honestly watched it in many years, except for the pilot episode, maybe 5 months ago. But there was a moment where I never understood the joke when we were filming it. And then I had to figure it out many years later where I'm chasing Dina into a bathroom or something like that. And then I go, wow, they got balloons on the wall in a bathroom. And then I think I asked the producers or the writers, I'm like, they sell balloons in a bathroom? I never knew what it was. I know I was 17, 18. I never knew what it was. But again, it's condoms. But I didn't realize that till many years later. Apparently, the movie theater had condoms for sale in the bathroom. And I'm like, they got balloons in this bathroom for sale.
And it just went over everybody's head that was like younger or whatever.
Correct.
Wow.
And then there's a scene where Sponge and his girlfriend or his date. That show was diverse, man. Think about it. There was an Asian girlfriend. There you go. We had DEI on Salute Your Shorts.
Yep, you were ahead of the game, baby. You know.
But there's an episode where Sponge, the character, and it ended up in the shot, but he's in the like a phone booth with his date, hiding from people in the movie theater. And then watch the episode. He goes, I think she farted in real life, and it ended up in the episode.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, there was so many good episodes though. Like the one where you finally went on the date with Dina and you guys went to the dance and they put all the mousse in your hair and stuff like that. That was pretty.
That was one of my favorites.
That was directed by a Baldwin.
Which one?
That episode was?
Yes, Peter Baldwin.
I didn't know there was a Peter Baldwin.
There's an Adam. There's a Stephen Baldwin. There's a Peter Baldwin. Very famous director from many years.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Like one of their fathers or uncles or something like I don't know.
But yeah,
that was a great episode though. That was where the fat kid finally got, everybody to realize how beautiful he is at heart and spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a great episode because you realize a lot of the pretty girl kind of fell in love with, the fat kid. And that was a great episode.
Well, with the person instead of just looking on the outside, she actually took the time to actually know somebody, and you learn that there's more, obviously more than meets the eye. You can't judge a book by its cover. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can, but should you?
Good. That's a good point.
But like you said, that was kind of like the big, chapter bookend to like the evolution of your character on that show from where he was at the beginning and to where he kind of ended up at the end. And there was a big change in that character because he did start off as kind of like a lackey.
I didn't mean to cut you off again. I'm sorry. But when a thought goes in my head, I got to release it because
same.
Who knows? Tinfoil hat right here. Sponge. So I went from Budnick being his lackey to now being the bigger person, and me and Sponge created on the shows. We became like that partnership, like the geek and the fat kid, the nerd and the fat kid. So that's where they took it. But there was an evolution there.
The lobster dinner for the wrestling tournament. Hell yeah, man! You had the lobster crackers in your pocket. I
hated that.
You're right.
Episode.
Like you and Sponge did become like a little unit.
I hated that episode.
Why? Why is that?
Because remember, I had to run to lose weight.
I do remember.
They made my character run, and then I don't know what the hell the producers or directors were doing, but the sound was messed up on that one. Run again, Michael. Take 25. And then at the end of it, Michael, we just gave you your daily workout.
That is funny.
Oh, I was dead the next day. I couldn't even go to set. I was like 3 hours late. They're like, what the hell? I go, I can't move my body. I can't even move it.
There's a dog at
made
camp?
me run.
Sorry.
I didn't know. Are we allowing dogs at camp now?
He just wandered.
You snuck him into Camp Radpack.
Well, and he kind of interrupted. This is Pete. He kind of interrupted me. Speaking about you being a trooper on set, I heard that you like filmed a whole movie or a TV show with a broken foot with rods in your foot or something as a Ninja Turtle.
Yeah.
I
deserve an Academy Award for the shit I've been through in Hollywood.
I was watching a bunch of your YouTube videos, and that was one of the stories that stood out. You're a trooper, man.
Yeah, I did a short film. Many years later, I was looking for work because it's hard to find work. So sometimes as actors, we got to find our own work.
Yeah.
So I started checking out they're called breakdowns, where they need actors. And this young director was making a short film called Dinner with Raphael. And then I was able to get the script online once I contacted them because I love the premise of it. You know, a person that thinks he's like a mutant Ninja Turtle and having dinner with his family like he's crazy and a lot of craziness ensues. So I read the script and I fell in love with it. And this person can't get main quality actors because they are a short film. And normally they hire, you know, the up and coming actors or whatever. But I fell in love with it. And I was like, this is comedy gold. This is what I need. So I contacted them, please, you know, can I be in this? Can I audition? And they're like, oh, we'll give you the part. I go, no, I got to audition. I got to audition. I go, at least let me earn it. So I showed up, did the audition. You know, thank goodness they believed in me. Even more after the audition, I got the part. But we went to set, and the first-time director doesn't really know what they're doing. And the stunt where my character jumps off the roof was the first shot of the film. You know, we're going to film for 3 days at a house, and the stunt was the first shot. And they asked me, oh, we're going to have a wrestling mat. You know, have you ever done that? And I bungee jumped many years earlier, and I've jumped on beds and all that. I'm like, yeah, I can do it. It's a wrestling mat, no problem. And I go, but I prefer a stunt person. Oh, we don't got no money. You know, you can do it. It's only like a 9-foot roof. You know, we're gonna have safe pillows, whatever you need. It'll be good. I'm like, at that time I was trying to face fears in life. I'm like, okay. So we get to the set. Then they want to rehearse it. They want to rehearse the jump because before the light goes down, they only have the house for 3 hours, and then the next day we're filming everything inside. So I'm like, okay, you want to rehearse it? I go film it. Oh, no, we're still setting up the camera. Let's just, you know, make sure you're good to go. Film it.
Because you had experience at this point. You're like,
yeah. I told him about a stunt person.
Mm-hmm.
I told him to film it. But they're like, no, it's all good. Whatever. I get on the roof. I pretend like I'm saying my lines. Not that I pretend. I say my lines. Then I jump. But apparently I don't know how to jump. I'm not a stunt person.
Oh, my God.
Apparently I stepped off the roof. So the roof is here. The mat and all the pillows or whatever the hell it is here. So instead of jumping to get to that location, I stepped off the roof.
Oh, my God.
So I landed on concrete pillars with my left foot, broke it, like twisted the ankle, broke it in 11 places. And now they're setting up the camera. They're like, oh, what's going on? I'm screaming. I'm crying. They're like, how are we going to film the rest of it? And I'm like, I don't give a damn. I think I broke my foot. Then somebody runs to the local CVS to get me like a wrap, like an ankle wrap. And I'm like, they're like, you need to go to the hospital. I'm like, I don't know. It's hurting. I can't even move. I can't even stand up. And they're like, oh, we only got 2 hours to film. We got to film outside the house. Michael, should I recast you? We had other actors. I don't know what to do because they only have a certain amount of money, whatever. And I'm like, you ain't fucking recasting shit. I love this part. I went out and auditioned for it. I got a hold of you guys. It is so fucking funny. I go, we're going to do it. We're going to do it again. So I start to crawl and walk. They put the outfit on me of the Ninja Turtle outfit. They get the camera ready. Now I'm crawling up the stairs, being pushed with a broken ankle. Then I get on the roof with a little bit of help, and I'm able to stand on one foot. I have my outfit on. Then I say my lines, and then I pretend I'm going to jump. I ain't jumping again. You know, that would be stupid.
The fact that they even had you get up there again is crazy, though.
but I didn't want to lose the part. Again,
Yeah.
as an actor, sometimes
Mhm.
you're like, dude, this is comedy gold,
Uh-huh.
and you just got to do it, man. So I get up there somehow. I have the outfit on now, and then I say my lines. I'm gonna slit your throat, and then I pretend. I go, "Cowabunga, mother!" And then I pretend like I'm jumping. So I give that little push, and then I heard my ankle go snap, snap, snap again.
Oh
Because
no.
somehow I moved my foot a little bit down where it was actually touching the roof, and I heard more crackles, and then I just fell.
Oh
I
my
fell on the roof, and the
God.
roof is slanted now. The roof is a slanted
Ooh.
roof. So now I fell. Guess what my fat ass is doing? I'm starting to roll to fall again.
Oh my God.
Thank God one of the persons jumped out the window and grabbed me before I rolled off the thing. So now we're done filming that scene. Then they got somebody to wear the outfit. They put pillows in it. Then they filmed them jumping as a stunt.
Jesus. That is
And
crazy, dude.
and then the next day we had all the inside scenes, the dinner, the ref. But we still had to film the stuff on the the grass. So
Mhm.
right after I did this jump thing where I think I broke it more, I get downstairs with the help of people. Then they brought that little fake like broken ankle thing from CVS. They put it on me. They gave me some ibuprofens or whatever. Now I had to sit on the grass, and I had some more scenes that they had to film where I'm lying. Oh, I'm a Ninja Turtle on the grass. And if you watch the short film, it's on my page or on my channel. You'll see like the fake cast or whatever on my foot. And then I went to the hospital right after. They took X-rays and everything. They said, "Hey, you fractured your foot in like 11 spots. You need surgeries. You need rods, um, and all this." And then they're like, "Here's some drugs, some pain pills." And then they're like, "Come back tomorrow." I'm like, "I can't. I got to film."
Hmm.
So I knew if I went on drugs, I would be loopy. I wouldn't understand my lines. I wouldn't understand my part. I wouldn't do it as good as I thought I would. So I didn't take any pain pills that night. They helped somebody pick me up from my house because I couldn't drive, and they took me to the set. Then I'm sitting down the entire short film and all that other stuff, and it ended up winning me a Holly Shorts Award for best comedic actor.
Hell yeah.
And one good thing, and looking back, I lost some jobs because I broke my ankle and my foot. But looking back, that was the time around where my dad was getting ill, and I kind of wanted to, work on other jobs and do a lot of other things and spend my time. But you have to take a bad event like that and make it into a blessing. So what happened is I was off my foot. I had 4 different surgeries for many months. But now I was at home so much instead of doing whatever else I was doing, I spent time with my father. And we had stories, and I filmed audio interactions with him, and he passed away a few years later, but those are God gave me that moment to break my foot for my life to slow down
Hmm.
and to spend amazing like 6 months with my father, like every day, every hour, and to build up. Now have a collection of videos and stories from my dad because he went blind around this time and his health was going bad. So
Hmm.
that's what happens. You got to look at life that way. But yeah, I
That's
deserve an
beautiful,
Academy
man.
Award for pushing through.
That is
Yeah, man.
that is really, really beautiful, man. I don't know if the other guys were going to talk about. Did you guys have any more? I just wanted to talk about just for me personally.
I got no life. I'm here till you guys want me
Well,
to, man.
I was just doing. I had watched
I
I've
mean,
watched your
my
YouTube
my
channel.
prostitute doesn't show up till 10:30. So I
Okay,
got
so
like 3 hours.
we got some time. I was watching your YouTube channel. I've watched it
It's
for
a
a
bad
long
joke.
time,
It's a bad joke.
but I dug into your channel and watched a bunch of videos last night. I love you have one of the most honest channels on YouTube, and I myself deal
Not good.
with a pretty severe amount of anxiety and things like that. And you have a series called it's the Anxiety Files, right?
Yeah.
Where you just kind of talk about what's going on. And I found myself watching those videos before and really relating to them. And I really want people, I tried to put it in the chat to link your channel, but it wouldn't let me do that. Hey Bowers, the YouTube channel. And I really want people to subscribe and go watch the channel. I mean, I know you're already streaming on your channel, and some people might know, but for those who don't, you do talk about movies and you talk about stuff from the sets, but you really talk about your life and what you're going through and what's going on in your head. And I think for a lot of people who deal with anxiety, don't understand that it's more than just like, oh, I'm a little nervous to do this. It's a whole mindset that can leak into different aspects of different mental things, whether it be like ADD or depression or anything like that.
I've been sweating this whole time. Can you guys see it? Like
I'm the same way.
How much my heart has been rushing,
dude. Before I even did this interview or other streams or just doing different socials, I have really bad social anxiety. It's really difficult for me to do things that seem super fucking easy for everybody, but it's not that easy for everybody, for some people. So
you got a Knight Rider microphone, man. That thing is doing that Knight Rider like
it's it's
that's awesome.
Freaking out a little bit with the sound.
No, I love it. I think that's awesome.
But yeah, I just really want people to subscribe to the channel, and I appreciate your honesty.
I mean,
and how much
no
you bear your
joke.
soul.
The older you, I mean, some people have it or they know they have all these issues or whatever when they're growing up, and sometimes they don't really surface till you're older in life, or you're finally looking at your life and you're like, wow, I've dealt with anger management my entire life. I just never placed it. And when you get older, you start to look at your mental, your barriers, your pressures, your whatever it is. Then you start to really realize that, man, I've had that my entire life. But when you were younger, your health was a little bit better. You haven't, ate all the hot pockets up to this point. You haven't eaten all the hot dogs.
So that's what it is.
Just
it's
realized,
hot
I'm
pocket.
like, man, yeah, I love hot pocket. What's your favorite hot pocket?
I like the ham and cheese, or the breakfast ones are really good too.
Do they have ham and cheese anymore? I mean, every time I get a hot pocket that says ham and cheese, guess what? There's like one piece of ham and one small piece of cheese. There's nothing but air. That's why it's called a hot pocket.
And it doesn't come
fucking air.
Do you know what does it? They also don't come, at least the ones I see, don't come with the little freaking thing. Remember the condom,
the
hot pocket condom that you put on the
metal, the metal thing to make it crispy.
They're skimping on that shit. Garrett, you probably haven't had a hot pocket since 1982 or something.
It was funny because when I first started working out in like the late 90s, I remember like I needed more calories and stuff like that, and I worked at a grocery store, so I would get a lot lean pockets like chicken and broccoli and stuff, and I was like, oh, these say lean pockets, these are gonna get me jacked. So I used to house a lot of those.
Good and you're healthy and stuff, man. You're one of those dudes. You're like, do you want a hamburger? No, I'll eat that bell pepper.
No, listen, I'm pretty good. Ask Justin. We all met up a couple of years ago. I wasn't saying no to anything, right? We were eating
some pizza. That's
Hut,
for sure.
Pizza. You wouldn't say no to anything. I'm gonna ask you a few things right now. Then.
Damn.
Hey, Camp Rad Pack. You want to come over?
Well, there's a lot of stuff.
You want to play some video games?
Video games? I don't play a lot of video games anymore. I wish
can pull out the Super Nintendo Retro and we can get into some Mortal Kombat with the blood.
That's some classic right there.
No, that would be on Genesis. You have to play it on Genesis for the blood for Mortal Kombat.
That's the one I had as a kid. I had the Genesis one, with the blood. But a couple questions the chat had, a couple questions I wanted to just throw out there quickly before we sign off. And one of them was thinking about, like I said, you're very, your character and you in general, like when you see you, where, like, oh, that's the guy from Salute Your Shorts. Like you've got a specific look, and I'm sure that like be it and voice, right? But being a child actor in the early 90s, were you hanging around with a lot of these other child actors like around that time? Like you said, you'd mentioned a bunch like Leonardo, you mentioned, working and hanging out with some of these people, but were you part of any like the Hollywood parties for like the, teen actors? Were you going to nightclubs or anything like that? Were you part of any of that stuff? You see Punky Brewster's documentary, it shows her at parties with all these young, teenage actors and stuff. Like, were you around any of those people around that time? And if so, like which crew were you kind of around?
I was the ketamine dealer back in those days. You know how they got the ketamine princess nowadays hooking up people? I was the ketamine king. No, I'm just kidding.
Like you mentioned, even people like Pauly Shore, the Corys. Like, did you mingle with any of those people like around the early 90s in Hollywood?
I mean, I didn't go out to mingle with them. It's just I ended up in acting classes with a lot of famous people because I was getting into some quality acting classes, and they always would have nights out and stuff like that. They'd go to a cafe. I used to hang out, and just to throw names in there, but like I befriended a lot of these people because I met them like on sets or auditions or in the waiting room or at acting classes or stuff like that. And when you live in the San Fernando Valley, like you are in Hollywood. Like you can turn anywhere and see an actor and befriend them. And I didn't really hang out and go to like there was nightclubs back in the days, and this gets into the Corey Feldman situation.
Mhm.
There was a club called Alfie Soda Pop Club, that
Mhm.
Danny was going to, Eddie was going to. They threw his birthday party for Edward Furlong at Alfie Soda Pop Club, run by Alfie Hoffman, who was one of the Corey Feldman apparently abusers. And yeah, I went to a few of those events because I was good friends with Danny and Eddie and stuff like that. But you got to think now that you're older, you think, wow, they're having parties at a hotel with a lot of agents, producers, and people around, and they are having underage people at a party. There's no alcohol being served, but still, it's like 10 o'clock at night. And you really got to think twice about that stuff. But I was the type of person, man, like I was supporting my family. My my mother wasn't around, and I was kind of becoming the breadwinner. And I had a lot of other interest, that didn't really fall into that type of stuff at that age. I'd rather go home and watch a movie or play Nintendo with my best friend Raphael. So I didn't really do it that much. But I would hang out like after acting classes and stuff, and at the local bowling alleys with Leo, Brittany Murphy, Toby, so many of Jonathan Brandish. We would go to restaurants, bowling, and they were all dating each other. So Lay was dating Jonathan, and
Mhm. Mhm.
I was the fat kid, and nobody want me.
Well,
Nobody want me. So Lay,
Aw.
hey Punky and Donkey. That should be the
okay,
duo.
She was beautiful too.
But yeah, so I was around all that stuff, and but I didn't hang out all the time. They would hang out much more than I would. They'd call each other to each other's house every once in a while, and I'd go home, play Genesis, mash
Well, I
the
mean,
donuts.
That would've
there's
been me.
there's you were around that. That was like I don't even know what you would call it, but I mean, that was what everybody remembers was like that group of kids and around that time. Like you were part of that era that we look back on now, and everybody
Are
was
they
part of
called
the
the
same
Rad Pack?
group.
Are they called the Brad Pack? What was that group called?
Yeah, the
Do they have a
Brad
name?
Pack was
Version
that group.
2.0?
I don't know what that group was called, but it was like it was just the heyday of child actors back then. And I think being in the early '90s, late '80s, like you were kind of part of it. And again, maybe it was better that you weren't too deep in it, right? Because you've seen how things have turned out for some of the people that were. But it was just it's very interesting and cool to just know that like you lived that time and in Hollywood where a lot of that stuff was going on. Like you hear about it, but to actually have lived it,
Yeah, we
just
had a
to
place.
whatever
We had a
extent,
place
is
called.
interesting.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but agents always wanted their clients to date for publicity. It was starting around that time. That type of publicity where they would
Mhm.
go on a date with each other. So like around that time, I think Drew Barrymore started the
And
trend.
Corey Feldman were dating
Corey
because of
and
their
Drew,
agents. Yes.
and then my time was a little bit after that. So then the agents wanted the actors to go to these like public locations. Like, are they dating? Because there was magazines like Teen Beat,
Mhm.
Teen Whiz, and I always wanted to be on one of them fucking
Were you
magazines.
ever
They
in one of
never
those
picked it.
magazines? Ever?
No,
Ever? Not even one
no.
little picture. Nothing.
How dare you not pick the fat kid?
Oh
Come
my
on.
god, that
In
would be
today's
sick,
in,
dude.
in today's day and age, I'd be a model.
Yeah, where's the
'Cause that
inclusivity?
is beautiful nowadays. And the
God damn it.
new Nickelodeon and Disney actors, they all have albums and they became singers. I was a triple threat back then. Nobody asked me to rap. I can rap the rappers off of hamburgers very quickly. I can
Oh
rap.
yeah, you had that beatboxing part in one of those episodes.
Yeah, the rapping mouse from Salute Your
Yep.
Shorts, the rapping mouse. But yeah, so agents wanted people to go to these public events and do all that stuff. And again, being the fat kid, they probably never told me, "Hey, Michael, go to this." And we had a restaurant called Ed DeBevick's, where the waiters are like mean and rude, like from the 50s or 60s. And we had a bunch of parties there, like birthday parties for a lot of the actors. I forgot her name, but uh she was on Buffy. One of the actresses on Buffy, like the nerdy type girl. She
Mm.
became a witch on Buffy. But I went to her Allison Hannigan. Allison, that's who it was.
Oh, from American
Allison.
Pie.
Yeah, she had her birthday party at Ed DeBevick's, and I got a ton of pictures from that. But all of us were like doing those type of things, bowling alleys, Ed DeBevick's. But like I said, that nightclub stuff, it kind of died down like right when we were starting to go out because Alfie's Soda Pop Club ended in like '92, and that's where the Corey Feldman stories come from with all that other stuff. So I wasn't really around, but I met
Yeah.
Corey many times. Him and Corey Haim, and it's just cool to know that whether I was officially famous or not, like that I had a hand in meeting and witnessing and being some slight part of like Hollywood history. You know, it's just pretty damn cool.
I mean,
so I could die happy now.
That's
bro,
amazing.
I think 100%. I mean, I think that, like I said, that like you said, the voice, the look. I mean, iconically, like people that you had met through the years would know you if you saw them today, right? Like I don't know if you ever ran into someone like a Corey Feldman at like a convention or anything like that.
Poker
Where,
events, yeah, poker events.
yeah, anything like that where like he would know who you were by seeing you, right?
We're
Like,
still good. We're still good friends, man. Like we communicate.
so I mean that's cool, but I want to go to the chat because I don't want to leave the hanging. But there's a couple cool questions here I want to kind of throw out there to you. So Mike asked, where did the origin of the name Donkey Lips come from? Do you know that?
To be quite honest with you, I asked the writers and the creator this exact question. They never gave me an answer. They just started laughing when I asked them that. Then one of the secondary writers, not the main writer, creator Steve Schlafkin, he said, "Oh, you want to know how we came up with the name Donkey Lips?" He's like, "Find out what a donkey show is." I'm
What?
17. I haven't been to Mexico yet. I'm only 17. I haven't been to Adelitas.
And you couldn't
Don't know who
Google it
that
at
place is.
that point, thank God.
Adelitas is a prostitute house in Mexico. I didn't know where Adelitas was till I was like 25 or 26. But I didn't know what a donkey show was. So maybe it had something to do with a donkey show.
Well, there you go, kids.
Everybody's Googling it right now.
Again,
childhood is ruined.
These adult jokes now that you're starting to realize, but
Yeah.
I can't confirm that's where they came up with it. Because what would
Surprising
the
it wasn't something you wanted to
I can
answer
think of a
for like
couple.
the first day. Like, what does this mean exactly? And why am I called this? You know,
His name is Eddie Gelfin, though.
Eddie Gelfin. Yeah. This must be someone that you know. Brentamania says, hello to my friend Michael Ray Bauer, and he gave a $2 super chat. He said I'm late, but I'm glad I still caught while live. So thank you, Brent.
He's my moderator. He's a great supporter, dude.
Nice.
On my channel.
And Brandy asks, now knowing the controversy with Nickelodeon, if offered, would you ever work for them again?
Hell yeah, I need work. What you fucking talking about? I need to pay.
Well, I mean, I'm sure now, especially with that out there, that there's a lot that they're making sure.
I'm not at a place in my life where I'm like, you know what, you pissed me off a few years ago. I didn't like what indirectly those people did to those kids. Indirectly, I don't like what they did under your veil. I'm gonna turn down that $5,000 a day job.
Yeah.
I'm living in a studio apartment. Nickelodeon, hello.
Yeah.
Where you at, Nickelodeon?
What's old is new again. I mean, I think people would love to go back in time and have you part of a show, for sure.
Yeah, I know, but that's a sad thing for me to say. People want me to take a stand and a ground, but I live in the world of reality. The reality is I ain't working so much. Hollywood ain't calling. I have health issues. I got other issues. I got no family. I'm lonely. I need a job. So, but would I definitely speak up for myself or for other people if I saw any of that happening and I was working for a company like Nickelodeon? You're goddamn right I will. I've spoken up ever since I learned the industry when I started acting at like 11, 12 years old. Honestly, I started getting jobs later in life when I was like 21, 22, 24, 25. Started working in movies. Man, I I became hard to work with. People, oh, you're kind of hard to work with. You requested. No, I just know what I deserve. That's it. I know what I deserve. I know the work I put in, and I deserve it. So I kind of got labeled hard to work with by some people. But I'm still hoping there's a reconnection with Hollywood. I've been doing some auditions recently for some TV projects, smaller roles. I have to start from the beginning again. It's really sad to say it though, but Hollywood is different. Auditions are different. The technique is different. Agents are different. Casting directors are different, and it's a different world. And I got to start from the bottom again. So these new casting directors that are casting for all these variety of shows, they don't know who I am. So they need to meet me, but we don't have the luxury of walking into their office anymore most times to build a chemistry to get a job so they can bring me back for other jobs. So it'll snowball because now all the auditions are in your hallway, in your bathroom, on a videotape, and you send it in. They don't, and they just, you can't speak to them. So they get no idea of who you are. They can't direct you from afar. And then unless you're really a bigger name at that point, you probably don't get the Zoom meeting. If they really want an actor for a bigger role, then you get a Zoom meeting where they can build the chemistry and all that other stuff. But it's just sad. But I'm trying to make a comeback. I'll probably be trying to make a comeback till I'm 90 because I ain't going nowhere. I don't care if it happens when I'm 94 and I die a year later, but
that's all you can do, man.
Damn right.
Entertainment is my life, and this is what it is.
Well,
Whether
speaking
it
of
be
something
YouTube
that
or podcast, this is my life.
You might be doing. Born Mush asks this question. He says, Can you talk about a meet and greet you have come up in Pennsylvania? Is that true?
Yeah, on September 14th, I'm doing my first convention called, not a convention, it is a convention, but it's called Timeline Arcade. They're going to have like 8 Nickelodeon actors. They're calling it Camp Arcade Summer at timelinearcade.com in York, Pennsylvania. And I'm doing my first travel convention, even though I'm scared shitless. I got health issues, anxiety issues. I haven't traveled in probably 10 years. I've never done any of this before, but I have to start doing it to generate income. I never wanted to live off my past until recently, and it's a sad state when you're like, I'm not getting any new work. I kind of have to live off my past, and it's like an emotional journey for an actor that many people don't understand. Is you have to make that decision. I may never work again. I may never be popular again, and I cannot live up to your standards that you remember me for. Now I got to pay my bills. I have to sell my past and the work from the past to make money for the future. So within me, that was a hard decision. That's why I've never really did any conventions. I've done a couple of reunions for Salute Your Shorts, but I've never really done any actual conventions. I did one alone one time at the LA Comic-Con, Stan Lee Kamikaze, but it didn't go so well. So it just ruined my image of conventions. And before I did the Stan Lee's Kamikaze convention and the reunion, I was dating this girl, and I would see actors that I loved. I forgot the girl's name. Laura Dern was one of them. Not Laura Dern, the girl from whatever that damn weird horror show was on in the 90s where they had the little midget that would talk backwards. Twin Peaks. One of the actors, the one girl that played Laura Palmer, whatever, on
Laura
Twin
Palmer.
Peaks.
Yep.
Well, I forgot her name. But
It's,
she's
that's all right. Go ahead.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I had a crush on her for life, and I went to a convention, and there she was. But this is many years later, and nobody was at her table, and she was looking a little depressed, wanting to make money, and that image that I had of her from all the projects, it just went away, and she became real to me, and I didn't like that image of her. So I always put myself in that place when I thought about doing conventions. I was like, dude, once you do conventions, your career's over. Like, you're done. That was the thought and the vision I had back then, 10, 15 years ago. Now, there is an avenue for conventions and everything to work good, but for certain people. But that's why I didn't do it. I just had this weird barrier with it. But I had to get rid of it, and I have to do this because I need to make memories. I need to meet you guys, and those are the moments I love.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
if I
man.
can
You
make
know what's
money
funny
while meeting you, I appreciate it.
is going back, like you just said. It's interesting because I don't know if you remember, but the first time I had ever chatted with you was probably a couple of years ago. Brendan at Wet Movie One had like some New Year's Eve late night stream where he just had random people show up, and he sent out a couple feelers and said, "Hey, if you're around, pop in. I'm just having like a New Year's Eve bash or whatever." So I popped in, and you were on.
Oh, she's disappearing into the Back to the Future universe.
Now set up straight.
You remember the Back to the Future picture? That Oh, so are you! Oh my God, you are too! Look at your shirt. It's like disappearing into the camp universe. I just noticed that. Oh my God, we only got it.
He's gonna freak out over there.
We're gonna disappear.
Hands all.
I just noticed that. Wow.
But yeah, when we went on that show, and I know he's a mutual friend of ours, and that's kind of where I introduced myself.
Yeah, he's a great dude.
I knew he was a great dude. And that's kind of where you were at the time, is that we had kind of had a conversation about, I think we even talked about the Willies and stuff like that. And you had kind of brought up, you know, you're not really looking to do conventions. You're not really looking at going backwards. You want to move forwards. Like, that's kind of where your headspace was. And that was probably 2 years ago, maybe. But, and I can remember saying, you know, I would embrace it because what's old is new again, kind of thing. And I think what's really interesting is I think looking at it from a way of like, think about all the hard work you did growing up as a kid and being on those shows and doing all those auditions and stuff. And now being able to reap some rewards later on in life because you did put in all that work before. So to embrace everything you did to build up to where you're at now, I think is a good way to kind of look at the whole situation of like, yeah, like, you know what, like I worked hard to be who I am and not try to shy away from that, because like I said, to me and everybody else who popped in here that said, oh my God, he's on the show. They remember.
You can't be in Hollywood by being real. You ever heard the term?
I can imagine that being
until you make
hard.
it. Again, Hollywood is different. You need social media. How many subscribers do you have? How many followers do you have? Hey, Michael, I can get you a cameo in that new episode of whatever show's on TV. But they're looking at people with, 1 million subscribers. Again, people like Danica McKellar and all that, they're doing Lifetime movies. There's no work for some of even these amazing people. It's just not happening. And now they got YouTubers becoming actors. Hollywood needs you to have a social media following to get a small part on their TV show so they can get more viewers. And it's just not ingratiated for people from the past. I mean, even the girl that played Wednesday Addams in the original, what's her name, Christina Ricci. I mean, she's a quality actress. She's doing conventions now. She has to. And
but I think a lot of people realize what conventions can do for them, not only from a financial standpoint, but I also think for a standpoint of keeping themselves out there for opportunities, right? Because, there's actors coming out to these conventions now that probably don't need to be there, but they realize that they're
relegated to cameos. If they get a job again, it's because they knew somebody or they met them at the convention, and they're relegated to smaller roles. They're technically not getting the big roles unless Kevin Smith is like, hey, Donkey Lips, be in my movie. Then he'll give me a big part. But you got to think about it. In a weird way, the older actors, their career is on the downward trend. You really have to say it. And doing conventions keeps them at that level. And they might get a part here or there, but technically they're still on the downward trend. But then there's people like on the hit shows like Walking Dead or whatever. And then they go to a convention, they get 10,000 people. Like I did the one time I did a convention in Stan Lee's Kamikaze, we had a Salute Your Shorts reunion. And then we were signing autographs after the reunion panel. And then they had each individual line for us to sign T-shirts and photos. And my line was huge. It sold out the reunion. My line was huge. And then it blended over into Lou Ferrigno's line. And then he came over and, so many people here. What's going on? You goddamn it. Who are you? I don't know who you are. Hey, Hulk. Hulk is donkey lips. I'm signing autographs. That's my line. But but so I got really popular. They asked me to come back the next year. They go, hey, will you come back next year as a guest? Because you've done a lot more work than some of the actors on Salute Your Shorts. Would you be a single guest? I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. And that was the time I started to test conventions. So I spent like $2,000-$3,000 to hire somebody to take the money, to print merchandise, T-shirts. And I've never done it before. And then I went to the convention for the 2 days, and then I sat there. Not a lot of people showed up. Not a lot of people bought things. They're like, who are you? Even though I had a banner or whatever else. And they're like, who are you? And then the Sharknado guy, the guy that had like, a medium part in Sharknado 5 is sitting next to me. He's got a line around the block. It just wasn't worth it for me. I didn't make any money and I lost. But I sold everything online and got my money back. Then somebody said, do conventions out of state. You're in LA. You're competing with all these famous people at the moment. Do the conventions like in Buffalo, Ohio, because they're like, dude, Michael Bauer from Evolution, Salute Your Shorts, he's going to be here. I'm going to spend 20 fucking. Nobody comes here. So that's why I'm going out of state now. I'm trying to learn that world. So this is my first convention traveling. TimelineArcade.com, September.
I think it's going to be great.
Yeah,
I think
promote the hell out of it. I wish you the best of luck out there because I think I go to these things and I see how it's how.
I just wanted to say hi to the beautiful girl.
Hello.
So I don't know. I'm excited. I think it'll be good for you to do that. I think
no,
it is.
It's for my life. I need adventures. I need to get out. I need to face my fears. I've become more of a recluse, and I think I developed that disease where maybe I am social anxiety now. And I don't know what that thing is where you don't want to leave the house.
Agoraphobia. Agoraphobia.
Like I think that it's getting bad. It's getting bad. So I got to start doing this stuff, man. And if I die while I do it, that's what I'm worried about. My health. I have heart issues. I got some other stuff going on. But I'm like, I just got to tell myself, if I die at 50 or 49 years of age, trying to meet people and do a convention to earn some thousands of dollars, so be it, man.
I think it's going to be a great experience. I think there's just like us and everybody watching, there's probably a lot you might take for granted how many people will be really, really excited to see.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people are giving feedback and buying tickets and saying, oh, I'm going to see Michael. And, so it's been really, really nice. And I think I'm going to stay there a couple extra days because we're right next to Maryland. And I befriended somebody a few years back as an actor. And they become friends of mine, and I'm going to stay with them for a few days in Maryland. My Raider, my favorite football team, is playing the Baltimore Ravens the day after the convention on Sunday. So I think I'm going to go to that game, and then on Monday, I think I'm going to go to Washington, D.C., check out the White House where AOC and all the politics and the bullshit of the world is happening. I've never seen that before.
In trouble over there, though.
No, I'm just gonna, chain myself in a protest.
I'm
gonna chain myself.
Don't do that.
I'm gonna, I'm gonna be anti-Israel, anti-Pakistan.
Don't do it.
Whatever the politics of today's are, I'm just gonna do it. No, I'm gonna recreate a scene from Forrest Gump. I'm hoping to recreate a scene from Forrest Gump, where I stand at the podium in front of the long penis. Or whatever with the ocean in front of it or whatever. And I'm going to go. And that's all I have to say about that. And then the guy, my friend, is going to come behind me. He's going to pat me on the back and he's going to go, don't worry. You said it all.
Forrest Gump.
But yeah, man, I think it's cool that you're doing that. And it's been awesome chatting with you, dude. I told you this was going to be easy peasy. We learned a lot about your career. We learned a lot about Salute Your Shorts. And I think this brought back a lot of memories and nostalgia for people. So if you caught this on the live and you're coming from Michael's channel, you're coming from our channel, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us live. We've had a great crowd here all night. And
is there any more questions on the Super Chat? Is there any more questions?
We have one Super Chat that said, this is from Dynamite Tiger. He just said, the money's from his camp dues. Thanks for coming on, Mike, and sharing so much with us. God bless. So,
no worries. I just wanted to make sure that if you had a question, put it in a super chat. Support Rad Pack, and maybe we can answer it if we had a couple of minutes left. But
let me see if I
just wanted to make sure you're supported.
While
for
Garrett's
sure.
looking for some questions, why don't you plug what you got going on? We have the convention, and I know you're doing Cameo actively right now, right? You want to talk about your Cameo if anybody wants a personal message from Mr. Michael Ray Bauer.
Yes, I got cameos. I think I reduced my rate to $40. I said it was 50 earlier. It's now at 40 because your boy's got to buy some damn meat in an inflation world.
That's right.
What do I got going on? I got some lotion I might try out tonight while I'm lying down.
How do they search your Cameo if they Googled it?
I think it's cameo.com/donkeylips. I think I put the actual name there.
Okay.
I figured it would get more people instead of just writing Michael Bauer. But who's Michael Bauer? Oh, Donkey Lips. I heard of Donkey Lips.
Yeah,
But,
well, cool. That's awesome.
I wish I had a website. I don't know. Just Google search me or use DuckDuckGo.
Find him on YouTube at Hey Bauer. You'll get all your info there. He's on Instagram. You can find
that's
him
a
on
good
there. Brent says, "How was your time on Empty Nest?"
That was awesome. What was the guy's name? Richard Mulgrew, the lead actor of Empty Nest. Empty Nest was awesome. I did a cameo. I did a small role where I played like a baseball player, and we get frustrated at, our coach, who's the doctor of the show Empty Nest. And then I got so many laughs that they brought me back I think it was like 8 months later or something like that to do the next season in an episode. And it was in front of an audience. And oh my God, those are some of the best memories of my life. Whenever I had the opportunity to act in front of an audience, there's something about the energy in the air. I can't explain it. And I haven't had too many like that. I think I've had it like 7 times in my career in front of an audience, maybe 6. But like those nights are the best. But they brought me back, and then the actors, I got so many laughs from that first episode that they brought me back to do another episode. And then the main actors, I forgot their names, but you guys can search up Empty Nest.
Richard Mulligan, he said, was the actor.
Yeah, Richard Mulligan was one of them, and then there was another famous actress. There was a girl, but they wanted me to they brought in video cameras while we were having lunch one day, and they're like, "Can you recreate that scene that you did on the first episode that you aired on for their family?" So I'm sitting there in like the commissary or wherever it is, recreating the scene for them, and they're like, "Oh, this is great!" And they were taking pictures with me, like the actual cast. I guess that part was so funny. That they brought me back, but this director brought me back, and I was going through puberty. My voice went from like, I think I was 11 or 12 or something at that age, and then now my voice is changing, and I got a little bit bigger, and I was starting to grow, like because it's 8 months later. So the character didn't work because that time in my life made that I'm just a little kid. It kind of worked, and then now I'm like I'm just a little kid. It just didn't work. And so we filmed the episode, so my jokes wasn't working. Like, can we do it again? Can we do it? We did it like 10 times, and the director wasn't getting what he needed from me for whatever reason. And the audience, after the audience had seen this fake joke 10 times, they ain't laughing. And then the director and everybody's like, it ain't working. The chemistry was gone. And I felt really bad because my agent's like, oh, you might be on the show next, this year if you do real good. They love you. Nothing happened. So I was like, oh man. But I love those old shows, man. I watch them on TV Land or whatever.
We did Friends too, right?
Yeah, Friends was a big one. I never even watched the show until many years later. But
that's a classic episode too. That you were in the prom episode where you're Courtney Cox's prom date, right?
Yeah, that was an interesting audition. I got an audition, and they just finished airing the first season. And my agent's like, oh, you got an audition for Friends. You got an audition for Friends. And one of the casting directors have casted me in earlier things, and one of the casting directors from Friends helped in casting the original pilot for Salute Your Shorts. So that's how Hollywood intertwines. Is everybody, they get to know you, casting directors, and they work with you again. So they brought me in for that role on Friends because they knew me a little bit. And I was bald head. I think I was hanging out with the Mexicans or something like that, thinking I'm a gangster, So I was running around, and I had a bald head, and they loved my audition. So they had to create a wig for my character when I got the part. And then my agent's like, oh my God, you're going to be on Friends. You're going to be on Friends. I'm like, I don't know. I don't watch it. I'm doing other things. And then I did the episode, and it was fun. We filmed different versions. And I met Courtney Cox, and then while we were filming around Halloween, and Jennifer Aniston, I knew her from Camp Cucamonga, because I auditioned and I was doing camp stuff around that time, and she was in the movie NBC
Oh.
Camp Cucamonga. So, and I've met Jennifer Aniston. She was in like a horror movie or something that I met her at, but I knew of her a little bit, so I was happy to work with her. She's like, "Oh my God, I know who you are." And so I was going out to like nightclubs around that time, trying to get laid, trying to think I'm sexy, living my best life. Um, so I went to a nightclub that night, or one of the days we were filming, and I had a red velvet rope for the nightclub that night. And then me and Jennifer were talking. She's like, "Oh, I came in with a really good outfit." And then she's like, "Why are you wearing that outfit?" I go, "Because I'm going to go to a nightclub later, and I can't change. I can't go home because I got to work here all day, do the read-throughs or whatever." So she's like, "Oh, what nightclub?" And I told her. She shows up with Brad Pitt.
No shit.
No shit. She shows up and
Holy-
hangs out with me in the red velvet rope with Brad Pitt, who she's starting to talk to or date at this moment. And she only stayed there for like an hour, and then, they did the Hollywood thing. They get on out of there. But like everybody's looking at me in this red velvet rope area, and they're like, "That's Jennifer Aniston from Friends." And, "Who the fuck are you?" And it was my velvet rope. It wasn't
Oh my
hers.
God.
It was my velvet rope.
Telling you, man, the
But
memories,
that's
dude. You got a lot.
amazing.
You got a lot of great memories and stories of your time there, which is
Yeah, we had to.
amazing.
So I went to work the next day because we didn't do it in front of an audience till like a couple of days later. But I went to work like the next day or two or whatever, and it was Halloween. I brought a mask one day, and then it was just funny that I had stories, and then Matthew Perry. Oh, rest in peace. Wow. Didn't even think about that, but they were kind of joking at me. They're like, did you get laid?" And apparently Jennifer was telling, "Well, I went to a nightclub, and I saw him dancing and whatever." Like, so in a weird way, I had like an interaction with the people on Friends, and I didn't work with him, but he was in a movie called She's Out of Control, and I met him at the premiere. That's where I met Matthew Perry for the first time. He was in a movie. You got to watch it. It's called She's Out of Control. It's a late 80s movie by Weintraub. It stars Amy Dolenz, Mickey Dolenz, his daughter. It's one of those classic late 80s movies. But yeah, I had a really good experience on Friends, and we filmed the scenes with the actors like in a Warner Brothers Ranch, who no longer exist. Apparently, they tore it all down. But we filmed it like on a house out there at the Warner Brothers Ranch, and then they aired it for the audience the next day on the big screen for the audience of Friends. And I was able to take a date, like a girl that I was trying to get to know, and she was a big Friends fan. And I'm like, "I'm on this episode. You want to come to the audience?" So I was able to get, front row tickets because I'm on that episode because I filmed it the day before. And then, my part came up and they aired it on screen, and the cast was coming up to me, and then I did the walkout. They allowed me to walk out, and wave to the crowd at the end of the episode. And needless to say, the girl gave me some kisses later that night. So thank you, Jennifer Aniston and Friends, for getting your boy some kisses, making him feel, like a celebrity.
That's
Great
incredible.
stuff, man. That's like Dynamite Tiger said. You should write a book about your whole career and all the stories. He'd buy it. And I also think too, like even like are you doing a podcast now or no? I know you were thinking
Yeah,
about
no.
starting one.
No, I have one called Happy Alien Podcast, but I didn't understand the concept officially. And then I had a lot of actor friends of mine, producers, whatever, that said, "Yeah, I'll do it, I'll do it." And then I started doing the first couple episodes, and then, "Oh, can we get a link? Can we watch what you did?" And again, I'm not really a host, and it only got 1,000 views. And I think some of them just, "Oh, it's too small for me," or "I don't want to be a part of that because you're a truther, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're talking about aliens every once in a while." Maybe they don't want to associate with me for whatever reason. So I had a few people back out, and it just really hurt my soul because you need those popular names to build an establishment. You need it. So I just technically started interviewing random people like that interest me, like an emo girl, a gothic girl, and then I had the kid from The Wizard on there as well. You know, he's a good friend of mine, Luke, Luke Edwards. He came on the show, but I don't know what's going on. I'm just trying to figure it out. But it's going to be there the rest of my life, so I'm not going to have any concerns or fears. And whatever the podcast officially becomes, I don't care.
Yeah, well,
I got something to do in life. You know,
rocking,
on a Thursday night, it gets me out of bed and it allows me to do something.
Is that when you record Thursdays usually?
Yeah, I don't know the day, but I was just throwing that out there. But I'm just saying it gives me something to do in life. You get it? I know I'm not going to have all the famous guests or whatever that I originally thought that are friends of mine and I have to respect that. You get it? I have to respect them. They don't want to be a part of it. They're afraid. Cancel culture, whatever, conspiracy theories in the mainstream. Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. Oh, how dare you? You know, like it's so the people that I respect that are friends of mine that are famous. All right, you don't want to associate with me around that stuff. I get it. So you kind of lose friends. It's weird. It's really weird.
Wet Movie said he was on it.
Oh yeah, he was my first guest. He got the most views, motherfucker. You're more famous than I am, bitch.
But yeah, man, again, it's been awesome talking to you. And guys, go follow him at Hey Bauer. Now, what's your Instagram handle as well, Mike? Is it Hey Bauer as well? Or is this Michael Ray?
Instagram handle, short and stout. Here is my handle. Here is my snout. What is it? It's at Michael Ray Bauer for that one.
I think it's Michael Ray Bauer is the Instagram. And
I started to put that. My agent started to tell me, "Oh, you need to change your handles to your name so people can find you." And don't post your sad videos. Don't post your anxiety file videos. Don't be real. Just start posting pictures of all the celebrities and all your jobs and fake it. You got to fake it. You got to pretend like you're making millions of dollars. Huh? No, I'm not. You got to fake it till you make it, kid. That's Hollywood. No. I love these real people more than you. Why? Because I was and am one of them. And they ain't got money. I ain't got money. I ain't going to fake shit. I'm going to talk about my problems and fears. And if you want to be my agent, you're going to have to deal with that. And if you don't, then see ya.
Fucking A.
What a
God damn,
way to close it out. Guys, if you are in the Pennsylvania area, please go and check out Michael. He's going to be doing a little autograph signing over there. Plug that one more time. Where is that place going to be?
TimelineArcade.com, September 14th. Then in LA in October, they're having the first ever pure Nickelodeon convention called SplatCon.
Ooh, that's going to be fun.
Splatcon.com. And yeah, that's the first pure. It's not associated with Nickelodeon that I know of, but all Nickelodeon conventions that I'm starting to do.
Oh, and you're going to be there with, it says, with Danny. He's going to be there as well.
Yeah, the Timeline Arcade one. And
yeah.
Hopefully the SplatCon. That's money on their end. But yes, the Timeline Arcade is going to be, forgive me if I butcher names or forget people. The original arcade person, Phil Moore, is going to be there at the Timeline Arcade, where we're going to hopefully play video games and have contests with the fans and friends. That's going to be so much fun. I can't wait to play Dragon's Lair. I love that damn game. And Phil Moore, the original Nick Arcade host, Alicia Reyes from All That, Danny Tamborelli from All That, Lori Beth is going to be there from All That, Danny Cooksey from Salute Your Shorts, Michael Bauer from Salute Your Shorts, Natanya Ross from The Secret World of Alex Mack, Josh Sherver from All That, and then there's somebody that does the voices of one of the Rugrats. And I think I named them all. But go to timelinearcade.com to get all the information.
And that is the 90s Nick End of Summer Con. Looks like is what it's called at the Timeline Arcade. And your cameo, of course. Head over and get a cameo from Mr. Bauer himself as well.
Oh, I got a merchandise store, but just I don't know. We'll put links later, but search Fourth Wall Donkey Lips on Google, and it'll come up.
We'll add that to the description in there for you.
Yeah, we'll plug all your links in the description. You guys can go check him out for sure. But man, it's been awesome having you on to this Camp Rad Pack show. What a great guest. We're talking about a little salute your shorts. Now, again, we do this once a year. So you're going to have to come back next year, guys, if you want to come back to Camp Rad Pack. And
$250 an hour.
thank you so much. Oh, that's why we've gone long. Is that what you're saying? Is that why you're trying to keep us there?
I'm just making a financial joke. I mean,
I want to make.
your
I
boy
wanted
is
to respect your time.
No, I love
and,
your
I
channel.
wanted to thank you guys.
I took on the video that you made. What was it?
You did the Rad Pack challenge, dude. You did the Rad
I took
Pack
on the Rad Pack challenge.
Hell yeah, man. I appreciate that again. And everybody else who wants to take the Rad Pack challenge, we're doing a new one right now talking about your favorite 9 films from 1994. So if anyone's looking for some content to do, give me 9 films that of your favorite from 1994 and tag us at the Rad Pack Pod. And again, thank you to everyone for checking this out.
The 9 films, though? That's the
problem. 9 films. We do the Rad 9.
I talk so much. So, like, I talk 30 minutes about every film and why it meant something to me. That's going to be a 12-hour podcast for me. But I'll take on the challenge, brother.
Make a podcast out of it.
I'll take on the challenge. I'll do it.
1994. Start making your list. But it's the Rad Pack signing off. And like always,
I name a movie from 1994 off topic? Sorry, I cut you off, but I'm trying to think. I'm gonna say 1994 might have been American Pie.
Nope. That's a little later. 94 is Forrest Gump.
Okay, there you go. Oh shit, there you go.
That's a good one for you.
Damn, I love doing that. Do you do this when you're at home watching TV or streaming or movies? You know, we get advertisement for movies or TV shows, even old school ones like on Tubi, the free movies or whatever. And they have the little icon or the poster of the movie or the TV show. And then when you move the Fire Stick down to it, it'll say the date that it aired or the movie. And I always see the icon and I go, in my head, I go, 1997. Right, and then I move the icon down and I bring it, and then it says, "Oh, 97." I'm like, "Yeah, motherfuckers, I know."
You'd be surprised to see the ones that came out in 94. 94 was a big year. You'll be surprised to see all the
I'm gonna look it up
that came out around that time.
But I love that type of trivia stuff. I don't know if you guys do it, but it's fun to me. You get it to try to, like, the albums. You try to name the year or remember the cover or the songs and the year in the movies. I love it. It gives me
we love doing the challenges. We love that.
Movie, music, and wrestling.
A pretty girl liked it. She laughed.
she likes the challenges. Yeah. What was your favorite? Do you remember what your favorite 94 film was, Mel?
Mine? My favorite 94 film? I don't remember.
You don't remember? You did your video.
You made a video about it.
How young are you, Mel? I've been doing this whole show and you haven't watched Nickelodeon. How young are you?
25.
I'm super young.
No.
Yeah, you don't have to name it, but I'm just saying.
I'm 25.
You notice how I asked the question instead of how old you are?
Yeah, like I did.
Young.
Thanks.
How old you, by the way? How old were you?
If you want a positive outlook on life, you got to change your verbiage on how you say things. So people don't like the question, how old are you? It makes them feel old. So you say, how young are you?
Oh, I'm
25 years young.
25. Yep. We'll talk after the show, but you gotta start watching Nickelodeon. We can have a Nickelodeon night.
See? Amazing.
Yeah, you're hooked right in now.
I'm gonna do an adult joke. Forgive me, but I'm having a good moment right now. So we have the SplatCon coming up. We have the SplatCon coming up with all these Nickelodeon actors, and Omar Gooding and a lot of Nickelodeon actors are gonna be there. And then I was talking to one of the girls, and I go, maybe we should film an all Nickelodeon orgy. I'm like 49 years of age. Let's create a porn tape, like an all Nickelodeon SplatCon orgy. And we could call the porn tape SplatCon, a Nickelodeon orgy.
I love it.
It would sell. I'll tell you that. So
that's what I'm trying to say. Your boy is thinking ahead. I don't know. It's just something I said yesterday. It was really funny to me. The funnier part was they said, that sounds good. That sounds cool. I go, oh.
There's something there. There's something
I think every actor in the 90s or 2000s, their agent told them to make a porn tape. Because that's when all the porn people were becoming famous.
Did he?
He had a stunt
cock. Oh, yeah. Screech had a porn. Or Dustin.
He had a stunt cock.
He had the mushroom top. He had the mushroom top.
What the hell? I was not aware of this.
I love you, Dustin. Rest in peace. But yeah, dude, I think every actor started to do that stuff, like because agents were like, "Oh, you can become even more famous, like Kim Kardashian, Paris Hilton." So
Yeah,
I'm like,
for sure.
there might be a Donkey Lips porno out there too, very very soon. I don't know.
See, we should have saved this for members only stream. This after hours stuff here.
Do you do a members only?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm
So,
sorry. I ruined
That's
it.
it. No.
Hey, if you want more of the story,
Yeah,
become a
that's
member
it.
right now.
We need Michael Bauer after dark for a members only show and get real fucking wild.
That's what
I
we'll
don't
have
know.
to,
I
we'll have
just
to
thought
set
it was
that up.
funny. I didn't mean to
But
ruin
man-
your podcast.
No.
Never.
I told you can come on and say whatever you wanted.
It was my adult jokes. I'm 49 years of age. I just DJ
49 years young. 49
I
years
just-
young.
We're all about
DJF.
being ourselves here, man. That's what
My
it's all
young
about.
ears.
She's
So like
only
always,
25, Michael.
stay
I
rad.
can't hear these things. Oh, stay weird.
Stay killer.
Boom.